What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Holdout is over in Kansas City as Chris Jones has signed a one-year extension with the Chiefs. The one-year deal is worth up to $25 million. The base is 19.5, so that's going to remain the same, but he'll have a chance to make up all of the fines from missing practice and more with his incentive package. He'll be a free agent after this season, but Kansas City could also franchise tag Chris Jones. The Bengals have released offensive tackle Lyle Collins from the physically unable to perform list. He's now a free agent. Collins was signed before the 2022 season and held down the right tackle spot until he tore his ACL in December. Still rehabbing from that injury is the reason he started on the PUP list this year. And your feel-good story for the day, as former Bears running back Tariq Cohen, who has not played in the NFL since suffering an ACL and MCL tear, as well as a tibial plateau fracture. What's going on this morning? In September of 2020, he plans to sign today to the Carolina Panthers practice squad. And Titans practice report will come out later today, where we're going to get an update on the health of Amani Hooker and Chargers running back Austin Eckler. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning in America's Music City as we welcome you in to a brand new, hot, off the press, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh behind the glass. My name is Will Bowling. We've got headlines around the NFL. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio helps us turn the page from New Orleans to Los Angeles. A Scout Meeting Wednesday edition of the show as we dive into Titans and Chargers and confidence level in Tennessee, Florida, something with which changes for me pretty much every hour of every day. It is Wednesday, September the 13th. Good morning, everyone. How are we?
We're doing good. I thought it was Thursday today, so I was getting my picks, supposedly ready.
There we
and
go.
realized, dayhead here.
Eager beaver out here.
Eager beaver out here.
Eager beaver,
Dang.
man. How you get the days mixed up? It wasn't even a holiday day.
Man, because now when you have like a 6-day kind of work week in a way, your days literally, they kind of blend together at some point. So every day you feel like you're day ahead.
Yeah.
Is how I am.
Yeah, I get that. And I'll say this, too. You probably just been super consumed by football and hopes and cheer and jeer. And
yep.
We back.
We back.
I'm happy for this Wednesday. I'll be completely honest. To wash away, I know Ron Slay does he does his wash away at Buffalo Wild Wings. I feel like everybody needs it. Today is my wash away. Almost every team I support and cover had a struggle weekend last weekend or a loss. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I'm looking forward to Scout Meeting Wednesday. It's very unique. I know we did it in the preseason. Of course, we're going off of hypotheticals and what last year looked like. Nah, as they say, sometimes we got real tangible things we can look at.
I'm a team way over on that West Coast.
Chef's kiss to the NFL season.
That's true. 615-737-1045, our number. We're live streaming as well. You can see our beautiful faces. We talk Titans and Vols and everything in between with you. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch at 1045 The Zone and at Ramon Kayla Will on Twitter. We've got Aaron Rodgers officially going down yesterday, and Zach Wilson is the quarterback of the New York Jets. That coming up this morning. The confidence level thing in Tennessee, Florida for me changes pretty frequently because I'll look in the smart part of my brain, and then I'll look in the jaded, battered Vol syndrome part of my brain. So interested for you guys to put me on the couch and talk me down later in the show, essentially. But I feel like we have entered the time of year, guys, where the schedule of the week is 5 days, and then we are at the end of the 2-day dark period of no football.
Yeah.
because football is played Thursday through Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, you just kind of got to get through it, right?
Yeah.
Got to pick a show, get through whatever else you want to
Exactly.
do around the house. That way, Thursday, it's back to football.
Well,
what
you
it
say
is.
that until Tuesday, Maction steps up too. Now I don't know.
Not
about-
yet.
Not yet. What is it? Mid October?
It's it's around Halloween, I feel like.
Halloween. Is it Halloween?
Maction,
Little
baby.
Maction. A lot of talent come out of the Mac.
Oh,
Though.
good talent.
A lot
Good
of talent.
football up there.
It's fine.
But you're correct though. It is that portion of the year where you got to figure out what's going on Tuesday, Wednesday. I will say Suits. I've been watching
Oh,
that one.
That's on my
Travis
list.
did that.
Okay.
Been catching an episode or two for it to be a network show. Legit.
And you know that's really old, right?
Yeah. I'm just fine. It
Because
ended
that
at
was
19.
where Meghan Markle made her debut as an actress,
Oh.
really.
Had no idea.
Yeah, that was
I
her
didn't know that.
major acting debut.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's in it early and often
Yeah.
too. Actually, good actress. With her role is it's
Yep.
a solid, snarky,
It
cool
is.
little show.
I
It
caught a
is.
little bit when Travis was binging it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
had it on a little bit last night. Keisha was looking like I was like, "Oh, you interested now, huh? You interested?" I gave her a little cliff notes on what it was, and now we watching it as a couple. You know how that goes.
Look at that.
I know it's weird.
I've decided my favorite kind of show is some kind of FBI/CIA show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm watching The Night Agent right now on Netflix.
Right, I've heard of it.
Very, very good. Highly recommend.
Okay.
But the story doesn't make sense in some places, and the acting probably isn't great. But I eat that crap up so easily and so quickly. I love it. I genuinely love it. And I just got done with The Lincoln Lawyer, and
Yeah.
The Lincoln Lawyer is as good of a show as I've watched since Succession.
Okay.
It's not, I mean,
Nice.
nothing's on Succession level. Succession is in its like holy grail category for me.
I think Suits is trending in that direction.
Oh my goodness.
In the what? Holy
That's
Grail?
blasphemy.
Well, to me, I think is very well written. I think the actors are pretty good, and I think the storyline lines up what Succession could be in a sense. Like not the same level. I know what you're saying as far as Succession goes, but to me, it has that same intrigue.
The one thing with Suits that you got to remember is there are a lot of seasons.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot to go,
well,
right?
season 1 has been kind of legit so far.
No,
and that's
and
kind of rare.
they are good, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of seasons.
Okay. That's
So just pace yourself.
I'm pacing myself. I didn't realize there was like 8 of them.
I know.
8 seasons.
It's a lot of seasons.
I think I might do The Sopranos next.
Don't tease me.
Don't
I
please.
think I'm going to do it.
Don't tease
I'll
me.
start it over with you.
I will literally
Do a
watch it.
Sopranos
Caleb.
minute weekly on the show.
Please.
Please.
Okay, that's it. Done.
When?
I'll start next week.
That pilot
telling
is
you.
one of the best
Really?
pilots of all time.
I feel like, especially now that I went to New Jersey,
Ah,
because my girlfriend's from New Jersey.
now he's
We
I
went
see
over,
it.
we went over like a
I ain't
certain
mad at it.
bridge, and they were like, "This bridge is in Sopranos a lot." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Will's going to be at the Bing all the time.
Make
Hey,
it offer you
Bada
can't
Bing.
refuse.
I'm talking about the beginning, the pilot
I'm in.
and the end.
Yeah.
Both just like you read a book before and you just put it down. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll do it.
People got mad at the end, though.
I don't.
People got mad. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
I know, but
she
that.
ain't wrong.
No,
It's the end gonna have you like, but it's worth it though,
Yeah.
Will.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're so far away from that. Don't even worry about it.
You,
Oh, I know, but
You're going
like,
to be like 3 weeks away
That's
from the end.
miles
well, it was like
ahead.
before I watched Oppenheimer. Like, I didn't even want to know spoilers of what they talked about for
Yeah.
one scene. Like,
I'm so far removed from Oppenheimer, I've forgotten what people talked about. So I'm
Did
Well,
you see it?
Not yet. I'm gonna
Okay.
watch it.
it's
at
really
home.
good.
Okay. I didn't
Well, it's like one of those things too, where when I watched Game of Thrones in 3 months leading up to the final season, I'd never watched any of it, but I'd just been on Twitter
Okay.
Right.
during episodes because Game of Thrones is the last
Yeah.
show on television that we would all watch together on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those days are now over.
Yep.
But like, I mean, I'm not spoiling anything at this point. I'm still not going to spoil anything because that's a show a lot of people want to get to, but it's like a behemoth to watch.
It is.
But
It's a lot.
Hodor, like the end of seasons, like people coming back from possibly being dead and then being
Yeah.
alive again. Like I saw all that happen on Twitter. So then when I watched it, I'm just like, okay, well, I know he was going to come back. So I guess that's how it happens. And like there were like 2 things that happened in the show that I didn't know were going to happen.
Yeah.
And it was the Red Wedding and something else. I can't remember.
All I've heard was the Red Wedding, so
Yeah.
I just waited on it. When it happened, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is the Red Wedding."
Yeah,
That was
right.
the
Yeah.
best scene
Great
ever.
show.
It
Oh my
was.
gosh. But That being said, I want to go through a show with zero knowledge at all, other than like, oh, I've driven over that bridge before.
The good thing is Sopranos does that because it's kind of unforgiving of the people. If you're not familiar with how like Italian families are or like the correlation between characters, you really have to make a lot of inferences. Like, okay, this is so and so, and this is why he reports to him. Like, it doesn't go back and explain a lot of the connections for you. So you really have to pay attention about like who is in charge here. Why would they respond this way? Like, it's unforgiving if you walk to the fridge and get a drink and you come back and you're like, oh, why?
No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
So the good thing is if you enjoy watching things like that rewards the watcher for paying attention and noticing small cues, you'll love Sopranos.
It's going to lock you in. I felt the same way, though. So Sopranos is there with me. The Wire is there with me. Also, we don't talk enough about this show, Mad Men.
Never watched it.
We don't talk enough about
I've never
Mad
seen
Men.
it, but I've heard good reviews.
The verbiage on there, just the conversations they have and make them sound real are so fun.
Kayla,
I wish I could
love
talk
it.
like
Yeah,
that.
Love it.
I would love that era. To
Mad
live in it.
Men is another one. Golly. Yeah, you bringing me back. You watch Sopranos. I've been wanting to start that over.
It's like it's the main iconic show that I haven't seen. Because The Wire, I've obviously done.
You have done The
Oh,
Wire.
yeah, of course.
Okay.
I did that actually during COVID.
Well, riddle me this in that same sense. Have you done Goodfellas and Casino?
No.
Ooh,
Oh boy.
I kind of want him to watch those before we get to Sopranos.
You really got to watch them before you. I'll give you my login if you need for for Casino.
That's the one thing I do have. Is
Casino.
I've got all the passwords.
Okay, Casino and Goodfellas.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Oh, this is the best time of the year to watch
Make
it too.
you an offer I can't refuse. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Coming up, NFL headlines as one Tennessee Titan was the far and away guy stealing the positives. Not stealing the positives, I should say. Stealing the spotlight from the Titans' perspective. NFL Next Gen stats with a good number for Arden Key over the weekend. Question for Ramon on that, on how much of that was Trevor Penning not being great and the Titans' defensive front being great, where the balance was in that in Sunday in New Orleans. Then we turn the page to L.A. in hour number 2. Rhett Bryan will join us at 7 o'clock. We'll get the full scout meeting Wednesday perspective on Titans and Chargers. But coming up, one final look at the defensive effort in New Orleans and where the Jets fit in the conversation now in the AFC with news that Zach Wilson is still kind of going to be the guy for some reason. That's next on Ramon K. Littlewell.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And it's starting to get a little cooler outside right now. With that being said, Hiller has its half off month at Hiller, where you can get your unit tuned up before the weather starts to dip a little bit. You don't want to experience a breakdown when that first temperature drop happens. It actually may happen later this week. We will start to get some 50s. So it's time to get that heating tune-up taken care of. Again, as I just told you, it's happy half off month at Hiller. And tune-ups are 50% off. Yes, 50% off. No, I know what you're thinking. Well, my AC unit doesn't need a tune-up. Yes, It does. It's just like your car. It has to have its oil change. It has to have its vitals checked and everything around it before there's a shutdown and you got to buy something new. Nobody wants that. This month, though, Hiller's making it easier than ever to tackle necessary home replacements by giving you 50% off on select add-on items, too. Hiller's work is backed by their Happy You'll Be or the service is free guarantee every single time they come out to your house. If you need anything done from plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical, reach out to Hiller at happyhiller.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Wednesday morning at RKW. We're powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Feel like I'm in a old Frank Sinatra bar or something.
This is from Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
Nice.
Yes, it is. This is when he's walking in a restaurant.
This is and a little cinematography fact for you. That is at the time was the longest one shot in history.
What?
So everybody was very excited about that shot. So a one shot for anybody that's not a cinephile or anything is where the camera does not cut. It follows the same track. Wow. So in this scene, they follow them from outside of the club, through the tunnels, back through the kitchen, into the cabana to then watch the show, and they bring him a table out, they make a place for him. It's an incredible shot. I think it's like 4 minutes.
It is.
So if anything goes wrong, if someone trips, if someone drops a glass, if someone messes up a line, someone sneezes, they would have to reshoot the whole thing. And that's why it's so impressive.
Now that I know
neat.
that is, didn't it win an Oscar also?
It probably did.
I'm sure.
I think it won a few
Was it
awards.
Pesci may have gotten it there. Wow.
Nice.
Did not realize that was a one shot. Now that you look back
what
at
is it? A Cinehead?
Cinephile. Cinehead.
Don't get the other thing wrong.
See, I'm weird because I'm only that diehard about TV shows, and then I've never seen any movie ever.
You're missing
Right.
out.
Other than like the classic mid-20s guy movies, like The Dark Knight, which is the classic, like, what's your favorite movie? The Dark Knight.
You just wait.
The starter. It is my favorite movie. But
You just wait, Will.
615-737-1045. Go ahead, Robert.
No, that's my fault. It did not win an Oscar. Joe Pesci won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
There it is.
Yep.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Too good.
He's old, isn't he?
Yeah, he's old. They redid, what did they redo recently? He did a long 3-hour movie. It was
The Irishman.
The Irishman.
Yes,
That's what
that's
it
right.
was.
That was hit or miss somewhat, I feel like.
Just too long.
3
Yeah.
hours, wasn't it? Was it 2:45?
I think it's a little bit longer than 3. I think it's like 3:45.
Yeah.
Oof, no.
Yeah, Kayla.
That's longer than Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there.
Let's go to John in the Borough leading us off this morning. 615-737-1045. Hey, John.
What's up? First off, The Irishman is a Scorsese film, and if you know anything about Scorsese films, they're longer than the entire series of Game of Thrones put together.
Yep.
Lovely.
They're fantastic films, but they take forever. You guys were talking about TV shows in the last segment, and then I'll get to my Titans point real quick. I sat back and started thinking, there's quite a few shows that I've watched start to finish, and I was like, good Lord, what have I done with my life? But Sons of Anarchy is a great one. The Newsroom is a great one on HBO if you haven't seen it. Go watch
Yeah,
it.
I've seen that.
That's a phenomenal one. But anyway, so looking ahead with the Titans, with what happened with against the Saints on Sunday and everything, do you guys think that the game plan changes up to take the ball out of Tannehill's hand, maybe throw it a lot less and give the ball to Henry more?
Thanks, John.
Question. Thanks, John.
I don't think so,
I don't think so either.
especially with a team that can score. You have to score points.
And that's what I was thinking right there.
Yeah.
That's depicted upon what the Chargers come out and do, or truthfully what this defense is capable of stopping the Chargers in doing. Yeah. As long as you're behind, teams got to throw it.
Yeah.
I think, too, you can chalk up 1 week as a bad day for Ryan Tannehill. At least the coaching staff will. I think fans will come from a different perspective on that of, hey, look, this is Derrick Henry's show still. That's fine for fans to feel that way at this point. But I think at this point, the coaching staff will view Ryan's dud in week 1 as just that, a dud in week 1.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be anything more than that. Similarly to the way Zach Taylor will use Joe Burrow in the same way. And the Bills will try to plead with Josh Allen to not push all the buttons on the controller at the same time and just calm down a bit. Like you hone things in and you correct mistakes while at the same time recognizing that 1 week is just 1 week for now.
Yep.
It is. And most times coaches in these situations are a lot more forgiving than fans are.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they
It's two different things.
understand, like, the perfect season, the perfect player doesn't exist. And I think that's where our emotions kind of ruin stuff for guys. You know, like, you'll be out on the guy and the coach is all in on that individual. Like, coaches are more forgiving because they understand the ebb and the flow. You just want more flow. And to Will's point, maybe that one-off week, if we want to call it that, Tannehill just had.
Yeah.
You just might need a reset. Nobody's making an excuse for him. I'm just making the point that coaches are a lot more forgiving than us.
And if this is truly a Tim Kelly offense that he is bringing to this team, which we have seen a little bit of, change, they're not going to just stop doing it.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, Ryan's got to be better.
He does.
That's point blank. Ryan's got to be better.
Lots on the line for him to be better.
So does the line and whatever. But Ryan, who has been here as a veteran quarterback, needs to be better.
Facts.
Ramon, what was the worst game you ever played individually? Do you remember? How easy is it to recall?
Baltimore. Easily remember.
What year?
Probably my first and second year. Just being completely honest with you, both of them.
Yeah.
Just honestly understanding what it is, the way those defenses play and attack. You never have a downtime. And specifically, I think going into that second year where I got plowed by Haloti Nada. If you go, there's film out there, not a breaking Ben's nose. That was right over me. I think I might have got tripped, but guess what? I didn't make that excuse. I thought I was about to get fired, Will. Legitimately. And you know what the coaches were like? And Ben also was just, man, it's cool. That's the game.
Right.
Like, you played 60-plus really good snaps. It was one bad snap, and that's what I'm saying. But me personally, I thought it was a wrap for me. I'm young, undrafted, barely starting in this league. Guess what? It is over. 9 years later is at that point,
Yeah, right.
It happens. You have those bad games as a team sometimes and individually where you just have to learn to forget quick. I will say that, though, too. I wonder what's Tannehill level of leaving the past to pass. Because you know how it is. Baseball guys get the yips. Guys get the drops in football sometimes.
And he's had those at times.
You see what I'm saying? Like, him trying not to throw picks this last weekend looked like he lofted the ball up a little bit to give his guys an opportunity to catch him. I wonder what his level of forgetfulness is like.
And we're going to see it because clearly he hasn't played football, real live football, in a while, right?
Yeah.
Because of the ankle issue that he went through last season. And look, he really banged up both those ankles. There was a lot of PTSD from that situation, I'm sure. Right. But you get one game grace. In my opinion, like, if you don't see improvement, there's going to be some little bit of a head-scratching situation going on.
It will be. It will be. And forever we'll always have that conversation about the two young guys behind him. Man, let's not even do that today because
we won't.
Well, I will say this. This game feels like the Titans' loss at home to the Colts in 2019 in Week 2. The Saints game feels similar to that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that game, Marcus Mariota was bad. The Titans lost at home to the Colts. The field caught on fire before the game. It was that game. It was the hottest game in the history of Nissan Stadium. And you felt like Marcus wasn't going to be replaced in Week 3 of that season, but you felt like it was the beginning of the end. This feels like the beginning of the end for Ryan Tannehill. And that doesn't mean it is the end. Doesn't mean it is this season. Doesn't mean that he's going to get replaced next week or in Week 6 or Week 8 after the London game. He may just be the starter for all 17 games this season. I think that is certainly a possibility. But this could trend south now because to me, that's what I kept thinking in the middle of that game watching it was like, man, I just remember how badly Marcus played in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you lost a division game at that point. And the difference is this wasn't a division game. This was out of conference, difficult environment. You still had a chance to win late, but you had a chance to win that Colts game too, and you threw it away. That I remember being like, man, this guy isn't the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet with Ryan Tannehill. The contractual situations are obviously a bit different. The age is vastly different. Marcus was young at the end of his rookie contract. Ryan obviously isn't. But I do feel like in a prove-it season, Ryan needed a much better first step out of the blocks, and he stumbled and fell on his face.
He did.
And we can point to everything we want of why it might have happened, and but the facts are at this point, he's got to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's on him, and I'm sure he knows that.
He does. It's just that the level of patience.
Yeah.
That you'd expect the team and the fan base to have is kind of low.
Yeah.
It's real low when it comes down to his level of play moving forward, specifically when you know you have weapons around you too. And just to throw out who you have. You got D-Hop, you know what I'm saying? And Traylon and Chig got to help themselves a little bit more as far as their playmaking ability too. And I am, again, going to say, this is why NWI made the team, though, too. Mm-hmm. He was probably more clutch later in the game than the other guys were, as far as Traylon, as far as D-Hop was, too.
It's who Tanny felt most comfortable with, too.
He did as of late, later in that game. And this is not a NWI, Nick Westbrook, Akine soapbox moment, but it is one of those things where if you play your role in having those extra weapons out there on the field, you can find somewhere to break down. We mentioned that, too. If Kyle Phillips have the ability to come back and play that slot the way you need a guy like him, too, the attention that Traylon gets, the attention that D-Hop gets will free up guys. Hopefully this offense will flow a little bit more methodically as far as the way they move up and down the field. If this team and Tim Kelly is willing to put the ball in Tannehill's hand. And that goes down to him finding his comfort zone more and more and more. I think those drops, and there was one or two that happened in the game, kind of threw him off a little bit. The flow of the game has to be consistent, and getting the run game started. Maybe I think somebody mentioned yesterday, dropping the screen game in a little bit to get this flow moving, because when New Orleans had the ability to pin it back, pressure was there on Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to be probably.
Question in the F&M Bank chat on YouTube. Jonathan writes in asking, don't know if this has been brought up or not, but do y'all think that Tannehill may have forgotten what it was like to have actual protection in the pocket since he didn't have it in 2 years?
I think there's a sense of not knowing what he can expect with this new line. I think that's a part of it, guys. And he's feeling the pressure, right? He might not have gotten hit as much, but he's feeling that pressure. And because this is a whole new line in front of him, he's not used to those tendencies yet, right?
Right.
And I know somebody mentioned the lack of mobility. I actually have to argue with that, because what I saw in training camp, like, the guy's using his wheels still. Like, he can do it. I just felt he was so uncomfortable in that game one. He just didn't use any of his common sense and natural ability. I felt like he was holding back on everything.
Yeah. Him having his new OL, doesn't know what pressure feels like, or doesn't know what a comfortable pocket. I can see that. Go back at the early portions of this game. You will see him run quick. You will see him abort real fast when it does come down to it. But you know what a lot of people will say, and even I would probably say it too. We could have figured a little bit of this out in preseason.
Yeah.
He could have got a better understanding. I thought they protected Levis and Malik really well at times in the preseason, this group did. Specifically the ones, for sure.
At least after the Bears game, yeah.
At least after the Bears game.
Got that out of the way.
Yes, but they did, though, Will. But again, let's go back to where we were middle of the summer discussing this group and during training camp too. It's going to take about 4 weeks to figure out what they are. And I know you ain't got time for it, because this schedule is deep. The schedule is thick as far as who you have to see in the next 5 weeks with this team here on the road and in London. You got Baltimore.
Yeah, division.
In London. You got all AFC games moving forward. You don't have that grace. Again, last week was your NFC mulligan. Chargers this week. On the road next week in Cleveland again. Cincy, Colts, and then Baltimore before the break.
Yeah, you better be glad you're getting Cincy early while they're still
Right?
figuring their stuff out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you hope that Cleveland is high on their own supply, too, because seeing Myles Garrett cross over before he goes. I can't believe he was acting like and one mixtape out here.
If you missed it, he essentially did. He had an imaginary basketball in his hands, and he was like dribbling between his legs. And he was against 3 offensive linemen in that center guard triangle who only had him to block. Genuinely, there were 3 down linemen. Got through for an easy hit on Joe Burrow.
He won.
You better get the yips out if you're Ryan Tannehill by then, because Jim Schwartz, who is here and who knows you and knows every one of your tendencies, like, he's dialing up that defense already, I'm sure.
He blitzed 6 times from the middle linebacker position and had 1 sack and 3 pressures.
Myles Garrett.
It's pretty good.
Isn't that crazy just to move him around like that?
He's so good.
It's like playing Madden.
I was going to say, is he the real life Madden player? Him and who in the league is made up Madden players?
Roquan Smith.
Roquan,
Isaiah Simmons
can be.
Isaiah Simmons is like the early on in Madden when you're only an 82 overall, but you still want to play every position.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Hunter is the Madden player, though.
Oh my
Correct.
God. That's fair. With
Travis
consensus, yes on that. Yeah.
Well, with all the success Myles Garrett had, he still did not generate as many pressures as Arden Key on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
According to Next Gen Stats, generated a league high 11 pressures. That's 4 more than any other player league-wide in week 1. Now, the previous career high for Arden Key in one game was 9 pressures, week 18 against Dennis Daly and the Tennessee Titans of last season.
Remember that.
And I say that, guys, because I remember watching a lot of edge rushers last season that weren't great brand name edge rushers, but they were going up against Dennis Daly. And guys are buying cars probably with the incentives that they got going up against him on the Titans offensive line last year. But I say that to ask Ramon, how much of Arden Key's success, not to take away or diminish what he did, because I think we all thought, anyone who's talked about this team for more than 5 minutes this offseason knew that Arden Key was the big addition that people weren't talking about enough nationally. How much of this was just Trevor Penning being bad at football also?
First and foremost, that's petty. That's petty as hell, okay? Guys buying new cars off of stats from
They
him.
might have, though.
Once you can find where the lie is, let me know.
I will not find a lie
Okay,
there.
thanks.
But how much of this was, you said,
How much of this was Trevor Penning just being in his second start ever?
no, you
Okay.
whooped his butt.
Okay.
Now, I
Yeah.
will say this. I talked to some guys that were in the booth next to us, and they were just like, he's not that good. They should give him more help.
Sure.
But that ain't your problem.
And they
Right.
did eventually give him more help in the second half.
They did eventually, but didn't we say this last week in the scout meeting Wednesday? If you gonna pick on anybody, pick on the guy with the attitude.
Yep.
We mentioned Trevor Penning.
Yeah,
Remember that?
You did. You
And-
mentioned him a couple times.
And at the very least, if you force a tight end to stay in there and help the offensive line, that's one less guy you got to cover.
Yes.
It makes things easier on your secondary. We know all about that from the opposite perspective. And the Titans had 3 guys on Micah Parsons last year on Thursday
Yeah.
Night Football every single snap.
Yeah, Arden Key is on a mission. Let's just say that. Like, this is a guy who has had opportunities to be a full-time starter, but it's never amounted to exactly that. He got the opportunity, and since he's walked in the doors of that facility, he has taken advantage of it. And I think he's just ready to prove it on the field, like, at all costs.
Yeah.
But also, look who he's playing with now.
Yeah.
Like, look at who is around him. Like, Danico Autry also with a
Sack
lot
and
of
a
pressures
half.
in that game, had a sack and a half. Yeah. I mean, he is also playing to the guys around him, which I think is also going to improve his play this season. Like, I expect him to have a big year if he stays healthy.
And real quick, the thing about the pressures too is you want somebody to get home. Sometimes a lot of pressure. Bud got a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
didn't really get home.
Right.
Yep.
Nico got a sack and a half out of all those pressures. 11
Yep.
this past weekend. That's production.
615-737-1045. Robert Saleh says that he wants to make it clear Zach Wilson is the quarterback of the New York Jets. You sure about that? Where the Jets fit in the AFC conversation now without Aaron Rodgers coming up next.
Something awesome is coming to Genesis Diamonds next weekend. Yeah, you got a little time, but guess what? September 22nd, 23rd, and the 24th. It's a 3-day designer engagement ring event showcasing the world's top two top brands in bridal jewelry, Tacori and Verragio. Tacori from California and Verragio from New York, both flying in their entire lines, including all new rings too, for this special event. You can explore hundreds of exquisite American-made designer rings. Plus, Genesis will have special incentives like 0-interest financing and up to $5,000 in instant savings. In addition, Genesis has an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds for this 3-day event. They have all shapes, all sizes at rock-bottom prices. This is the best of the best. Every Tacori ring is handcrafted by master artisans with exceptional quality. Every Verragio ring is made by hand with unmatched attention to detail. These are brands other jewelers only wish they could offer, but at Genesis, they have the entire Tacori and Verragio collections, and they'll be on display next weekend. Don't miss the bridal jewelry event of the year, September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at Genesis Diamonds, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wednesday morning at RKW, we're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up in 15 minutes, Rhett Bryan will join the show. We will turn the page to the LA Chargers, the challenge upcoming for the Titans at home in Nissan Stadium. Going to be good to be back in the Coliseum. The artist formerly known as the Coliseum, I should say. Ramon is laughing about hearing this song. Odds are, if you've spent any time around high schoolers over the last month, you've heard this song.
Good Lord. Oh,
Yeah,
my.
it's ridiculous. Somebody just perked up. Like, oh, Mom, they know our song.
Yeah, the kids in the car are like, turn it up.
Turn it up,
Or if you're a high schooler listening to us right now, you're welcome.
Right?
We probably just made
like-
somebody's TikTok of that.
Yeah. What was like a song you listened to that was like that? Like that was just
Like the
so
song of high school?
popular. Yeah. That you just couldn't ever get it out of your head and it got you pumped.
Did we have viral songs like this,
Yes.
though?
Yeah.
But I feel like
think
you
so.
get them more
I-
in middle school or elementary school.
Yeah,
Right.
it was.
Because I
got it.
I'm
Mine
gonna make
in
you feel
college was
really
like,
old.
to the window.
Yeah, yin yang
to
to
the
the
wall.
wall. Yeah, yin yang twin. That one or Master P. Yeah,
That was probably Trick Daddy, but we can't say any lyrics of that song at all.
The ones for me in elementary school and middle school, just let me get through this, you're going to hate me, were Low,
Oh, yeah.
Crank That, Soldier Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Anything sold.
Soulja
That
Boy.
was elementary school.
What you-
That was like third grade.
Oh, my gosh.
The No Hands.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Which that's the one.
I
That's the
love
one.
that
If you
song.
play that in a party
Love that song.
at any kind of college house, that's the one that people my age like the most. I can confidently say
I
that.
really like that.
Confidently say that. That one and Down by Jay Sean.
Jay, wow.
All of those are good. I like all those.
Great songs.
Somebody
Those were
said-
they all came out in like the late 2000s, but
Yeah.
people my age like music from the late 2000s, I feel like as much if not more than they do music that's currently coming out.
It's really good music.
we
Thong
had-
song, someone said in the
I
chat.
saw that. We had
Cisco.
such a crunk era, though.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Lil Jon ruled
Yeah.
college for me,
And Lil Wayne.
and I loved it.
Well, that was back when Aaron Rodgers was playing college football as well. He won't be playing professional football this season, of course, as his torn Achilles becomes official yesterday. Robert Saleh tells reporters, quote, "I don't know why people are trying to put an obituary under our team name."
God.
I know he has to say that, but are the Jets better off getting a veteran on the street or rolling with Zach Wilson?
Who the role was that?
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Over Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz,
Yeah.
Heck yeah. On
Tom
both
Brady.
Of them. Heck yeah.
over Tom Brady?
Over Tom Brady.
Really? Okay.
Yes. It's too much time has to have in place for him to roll this way.
Well, he doesn't have the line
Does he
for
not
that.
have it in place there, though?
That's what. No,
They
he ain't
do
got an
not
O
have the line.
You see what the last year looked like in Tampa when he didn't
Yeah.
have an O line too. Tom, go in there if you want to. I keep telling y'all, it's a young man's game.
Yep.
Did you guys see RG3 throwing his name casually in with all
I
these
wish
other
he
quarterbacks?
Oh,
Stop.
did he?
We have the audio of that, don't we?
I think I can find it. If
I
I
didn't-
think I sent it in yesterday, actually, to you. Yeah, I,
didn't
did.
hear that.
It's in our channel
Yeah.
of audio. I was tempted to just save this for You're Not That Guy next week, but we'll just do it now.
Jeez,
This
yeah.
is in addition to You're Not That Guy from RG3, who genuinely on Get Up yesterday
Boy.
pitched like that he should be the quarterback of the New York Jets.
Talk about free agent quarterbacks. There's a reason that certain guys aren't in the league. It's because they're uninspired. But Foxy knows this. Some of these guys like Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, myself, it's not that we can't play the game anymore. It's that we're a big distraction if you bring us in. I had a GM tell me this offseason, hey, man, I know you can still play. You look like you can still play. But if we bring you in, it's going to be a distraction for our starting quarterback. So now that your starter and Aaron Rodgers is out, you can potentially go and grab some of those guys.
Oh my! Get out! Get
Some of those guys
out!
and puts himself in there. I mean, honestly, like
What?
that's the definition of You're Not That Guy, pal.
Like a distraction? In what way? You're washed up.
Oh my gosh. I would say
Like-
this of Cap, of Cam, and of RG3. Cam is the one I would pick out of the bunch all day
Yeah.
long when it comes down to those three. But I'm not if I got Zach Wilson in office anyway. Leave Zach alone.
And this is what we had heard, like from his short time, obviously with Aaron Rodgers is like, he did learn a lot. Like, there was improvement that they saw. Now, whether or not that pans out throughout the season as a starter, I don't know. But it does look like there's been improvements, and he's younger. And that offensive line right now, it's not great.
No, it's not great.
I just think bringing in an old veteran who can't move really, has less mobility, it's not going to work.
No.
Like, they're going to have an Achilles ruption too.
Yeah, you need Zach Wilson behind that offensive line. You simply do. Mekhi Becton's still not where you want him to be at all.
Even on the right side, it's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. No, absolutely not. I can't believe RG3 used that platform to endorse himself.
Dude, sit down.
He threw himself in there with like all the martyrs. Like, RG3, you're the guy that picks up the homework for the teacher. Like, you're the guy that they might bring in to be a good mentor. He's like, we're a distraction. We're just too cool. Acting like he's smoking cigarettes outside the school. Like, shut up, bro. You weren't good 2 years ago when you played.
Distraction from what? Winning games? It is interesting, though, Ramon, from what you've said, because you have been on this train more than anyone over the past year, that people love a backup quarterback that's just going to sit there and shut up.
I'm telling you.
More so than any other position. They want now in the NFL, Blaine Gabbert is a very popular player in this league.
Very popular. Okay.
Chase Daniel.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Trask.
Chad Henne, who just retired and was
Chase
banging
Daniels
the drum.
is available. He's working for NFL Network right now.
Brian Hoyer. I mean, let's talk about it now. Mason Rudolph.
Matt Castle.
Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, my God.
Who's your favorite career backup quarterback? 615-737-1045.
Charlie Batch.
Put some respect on Billy Volick's name,
Man, please.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I can't. You know what? Hey, Paul, Allison, I need $1 million. If RG3 can do it for me too, okay? We seven and do what you want, Will. Okay, let's go ahead and say what we want out here.
I need more than $1 million.
You want a Ferrari?
Wow.
Give me a Ferrari.
We should have done a shot-for-shot
comfortably.
remake of Ramon asking to sign with the Titans. They wouldn't
gosh.
bring me in because I'm too big of a distraction.
Yeah. Give me a break,
Ramon,
man.
too big of a distraction to Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit-Frere.
Yeah, Lee, RG3, what is wrong with you, man?
615-737-1045. Rhett Bryan joins us coming up next. We've got a little bit of news that you may have heard on the station, and perhaps a trip down memory lane that accompanies a little bit of Titans radio news coming up next.
What's going on? Good morning. 7:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Holdover in Kansas City is over as Chris Jones signed a one-year deal with the Chiefs, a deal worth up to $25 million. The base stays the same at $19.5, but he has a chance to make up the fines and more with his incentive package. He'll be a free agent after this season, but Kansas City can also franchise tag him. The Bengals have released offensive tackle La'el Collins from the physically unable to perform list. He is now a free agent. Collins was signed before the 2022 season, held down the right tackle spot until he tore his ACL in December of last year. Still rehabbing from the injury is the reason he started the season on the PUP list. And your feel-good story for the day, former Bear running back Tariq Cohen, who has not played in the NFL since suffering an ACL and MCL tear in September of 2020, plans to sign today with the Carolina Panthers practice squad. Good for Tariq. And the Titans practice report comes out later today, so we should get an update on the health of Amani Hooker, and the Chargers will also come out later today. We'll get a look at Austin Eckler. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, as we begin hour number 2 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Laughter in the studio, meaning Rhett Bryan has joined us with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh behind the glass. I'm Will Bowling. One of our favorite opens to begin hour number 2. If you're unfamiliar, it's an ode to Joseph Hunkapilly.
It makes me laugh every time when Kayla, like, what a microphone. Oh, my gosh. So, you mentioned it earlier in hour 1. Your brother, Ramon, your brother, Ronald Sylvester Slay, does the wash away toast, right? At the football feast that they have at Buffalo Wild Wings. So I'm here for a Wednesday wash. I'm going to kind of play off of that because, look, what happened in week 1 happened in week 1. It's time to move forward because the Chargers are coming to town Sunday. And as Will so excellently teased it before you guys went to break, if you've been listening, folks out there, you've heard these little things that we call blinks at the top of the hour, about a 5-second promo that says, coming soon, Titans Radio 500. And I threw in some NASCAR effects. You're like, what the hell? Are they doing a race? What's going on here? With all of that in mind, it is a special week, and I'm feeling very nostalgic, and we need this at this point after what happened in New Orleans on Sunday. So, Bert, hit it.
A milestone for the Titans means a milestone for Titans Radio.
McNair takes the snap. Quarterback draw. He's in there! 68 yards. Eddie George. Touchdown, Titans!
From the day they were born.
The Titans get the win. The first ever in Adelphia Coliseum.
For 25 seasons worth of Titans football. It's game number 500 on Titans Radio.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
Go, Redimus.
Go.
That's what Titans Radio 500 has been about all summer as we have kind of led you guys along, and it's just an old radio gimmick to do that. But I'm honored, privileged, pleased, all of it, to say I have done with Mike Keith 499 games, and Sunday will be 500 for us.
Incredible.
And the 500th on Titans Radio, and the 500th in Titans history. And, there's so many great moments. There's been peaks, there's been valleys. We went through a little one on Sunday, but, I wanted to bring us to a positive place. And before we get into Scout Meeting Wednesday. But anyway, that's what that's all been about. If you're driving down one of the arteries of the interstate going, what in the devil's going on? But anyway, so it's really funny, too, because I did an event yesterday with T-Rack at your brother's at Slay's old Boys and Girls Club and Andrew Jackson over on 16th Avenue North, and we did these minute-to-win-it games, and we had Julius Chestnut, and we had Tajay Spears, and we had Travis Gibson, the newest pass rusher. And he was asking me, so I'm Oilers watching. He goes, "Hey, how long you been doing this? What have you been doing?" And I was explaining, I said I've done this since they came from Houston. He goes, "Man, are you kidding?" I'm like, "No." I said, "I'm old."
That's pretty cool.
And I got to explain it to him about, it's the 500th game and all that. He was really interested in what was going on. He goes, "That's amazing, man." He goes, "Dude, you've been around. You're an old dog." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm an old dog. Emphasis on old." But
you don't look old.
He said, "So you covered Eddie George, Steve McNair?" I said, "Oh, yeah, all of that. First generation Titans from back in the day." And there's still a lot of great memories down that road, for sure. But anyway, so that's what that's about, Will.
I love it. Well, for those of us that grew up and Titans radio was the sound of your Sunday commute, and we'd listen to the country countdown in a hot car on the way to church for Sunday school in the mornings, and then you'd get in the car right for the broadcast open. And Rhett knows I can still hum the original broadcast open as well. One of my favorites. But we would all the time, Sunday afternoons for us, we wouldn't even, Titans radio was such a big part of our lives growing up in my family that we would go for a walk around the YMCA trail in Brentwood, around Crockett Park, Granny White Park, places like that. And you'd take those little Nike FM radios they used to have back in the day and put them in these sport headphones. And I'd ride my bike around town on Sunday afternoons for the first half, listening to Mike Keith, listening to Frank Wycheck, listening to Titans radio. And you guys have been the sound of so many Titans fans for this entire existence of the Tennessee Titans. And I encourage people to listen to other broadcasts and recognize how good we have it in Nashville, which is not to put anybody else down, but it's to bring light and give you guys credit for the attention to detail, the elements. It just sounds so good. And that in and of itself is a luxury and a privilege that we have here in Nashville. So credit to you guys on 499 done at the highest level. And
heck yeah.
The gold standard in NFL broadcasting reaches a really, really cool milestone on Sunday.
That is very nice of you to say, Will. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And it's just because all of us, from Mike and Mac to myself and Amy Wells and now Ramon's here and Brad Willis and Philip Noel, we just care about what we're doing and we want to try to give the people the show.
Yeah.
Give them the show. They deserve the show.
Yep.
And anyway, it's a special week. I haven't thought about it a ton. And now that it's here, I'm like, wow, this is going to happen. This is pretty wild. What are people saying in the F&M Bank chat? Is anybody saying anything about what we've been talking about?
Yeah, we've got, I've
stirring up some old memories.
Worked on sidelines for 23 years, loved every bit of it. We've got, one question is, does this include preseason games?
Ooh.
Yeah, count to 500.
Okay.
Preseason, postseason, all of it. Yeah, this is just straight up the 500th game, not the 500th regular season game.
Love
the 500th game. That's a great question.
You got Mike and Rhett are the best there is.
Yep.
That's right.
Absolutely, man.
High praise.
Yeah.
That's really doggone cool, Rhett. To see that 500 games is a lot. Think
It is
about
a
the
lot.
longevity of that, the production. Me seeing what the production looked like now, I'm like, this is intense.
Yeah.
And it's not even like what you hear on air sometimes, Sue. It's the prep for it. And you got to give Philip Noel, Brad Willis a lot of just praise. Rhett, you too. Like the setting up, the breaking down of those boxes, carrying them on the bus.
Well, those two I call the MacGyver twins because
I love it.
baling twine and duct tape and chewing gum, they can make it all work. If something goes haywire with connectivity, they've got a 3 or 4 deep redundancy plan to make sure that we're on the air and we deliver the product and sales downstairs, the commercials and everything run. Yes. But yeah, it's I can't give enough praise to them. And look, I'm the guy who's lucky enough. Who was it that said, surround yourself with people better at your job than you are? That's me. That's my life every day, every broadcast. Is I work with the best people in the world, and I just get to kind of tag along and kind of make sure all of it's together. So
yeah. UW says, shout out to Pat Ryan, though.
Pat
He's
Ryan.
got something.
That's right.
He's got something.
Pat Ryan. Boy, golly, we have a lot of fun with him. When ESPN had that thing with baseball back in the day when they were running those promos, he would apply that to big shot plays that the Titans would go, chicks dig the long ball.
I love that.
Sounds like Pat Ryan's a Braves fan is what I'm hearing right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, that was part of the promo.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the promos, actually.
He goes, you know what? You know what, Mike? Chicks dig the long ball. I found a piece of audio the other day, and Mike was like, you've been waiting for a long time to use it. He goes, I sure have, and I just did.
I love it.
Now he's saying that about Joe Milton with the Vol Network quite a bit.
Right?
That's like every other play, isn't it? I mean, the cannon.
Hopefully he's saying that a lot Saturday in Gainesville.
I know, man. But man, that is
Big
phenomenal.
damn orange.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Come on with that.
Come on with
Sorry,
it.
I'm
Come
leaning
on.
into that lane for a moment.
love
Don't
it.
apologize.
Do
Okay.
what you do, but watch my shoes.
Absolutely no.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Rhett, Bryan in studio with us. We'll dive into Titans and Chargers coming up next, and the weakness in the Chargers defense. The Titans may be looking to exploit in a guy who signed a big contract, got hurt, has now come back, but is not up to the same level he was at before becoming a Los Angeles Charger. Previewing Titans and Chargers with Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio coming up next. Hey, it's Will. You deserve all the comforts of home, including endless hot water at your fingertips. And this is something you need when it's hot outside, when it's cold outside. Yeah, in the mornings when you're maybe trying to heat up that water, trying to take a shower, it's getting a little bit cooler outside. Well, you need to know that tankless water heaters powered by new recirculation systems save you energy. They save you money, time, and space. Well, Lee Company, they've got a great offer for you. A limited time offer of $750 off a tankless water heater when you purchase a recirculation system. And to make the heater even sweeter, qualified buyers receive 18 months of 0% financing. Take advantage of this offer today. Call my friends at Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $750 off a tankless water heater. 615-567-1000. That's the number to call. Online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. Wednesday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville with Rhett, Bryan in studio. What are we listening to, Rhett?
Woo!
I don't know. I asked for a different song.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
Robert.
Sorry, Bert.
Oh, I wasn't in here when you requested it.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh.
No worries.
This is Easy Money by
Unacceptable.
Billy Joel.
Yeah, I
the
thought that
Innocent
was-
Man album.
I thought that was your favorite artist, William Joel.
William
Office
Joel.
reference.
That was for the longest time.
By
William
Yeah.
Joel. Rick plays it on the recorder. Sitting with his back up to a dumpster playing the recorder. It was for the longest time by William Joel.
Dwight Schrute.
Incredible.
Dwight Kurt Schrute.
That's right.
Dwight Kurt, that is. This movie.
So, Rhett, turning the page from the Saints to the Chargers.
Yes, Bob Seeger. Go ahead.
Thank you. Justin Herbert completed 70% of his passes against the Dolphins, took 3 sacks, had a 99.1 quarterback rating. They rushed the ball well, ran for 234 yards against Vic Fangio's Miami Dolphins defense. But I want to start on the Chargers defense with J.C. Jackson in the secondary. When you look at this team defensively, they're ranked by PFF as the 14th best secondary in the NFL coming into the season. J.C. Jackson is the big money corner they added last year, allowed 3 catches on 8 targets for 99 yards and a touchdown.
Ow.
In week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. There are matchups to be made in your advantage, perhaps, against the Chargers secondary.
Yeah, and there's a place right there. I forgot. Who is their other corner? I know Asante Samuel Jr. is their nickel.
Right.
Santi Samuel Jr. The other corner is
Michael Davis?
Michael Davis.
Yeah, Michael Davis.
Mike Davis.
But yeah, that's what Tim Kelly and this coaching staff has to continue to do, because listen, we saw in that ballgame, especially in the second half in New Orleans, he got players open.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so the capability is there. But yeah, I mean, this Chargers defense, first of all, you give up, 536 yards total offense.
And regulation.
Yes.
And regulation.
That's very important
Good
to
caveat.
note. But yeah, so now here's the thing. Week 1, and people have heard me say it, and people say it a lot. Week 1's a liar. We'll see how much.
Sure.
I think for the Titans fans, they're going, okay, I hope that's not our truth, right?
Yeah.
What happened on Sunday. We'll see how much gets settled down week over week. And honestly, I think the first month of the season is a place where there's some sloppy football. You always heard coaches telling your defensive teammates about making sure that spot and sure tackling was a thing in week
Absolutely.
1, because that's just kind of the hard reset to get ready for the real live stuff. And, errors and things are made, and as guys settle down and gel with each other, I think you start to see what true product you've got in your team. I'll go back to what Coach Mack says all the time. It's never as bad as it seems, and it's never as good as it seems. And, for these teams that had a really good showing in week 1, we'll see if they gravitate towards the middle, and hopefully the Titans move back up in a place where they need to, because, I mean, that's the thing that concerns me in this, is that the Chargers put 34 on the board and lost.
Right.
And the Titans, they've got to find a way to score more points. They just have to.
Right.
And I think they will. I think, the onus is on Ryan Tannehill. You heard Mike Vrabel say it Monday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park that he's got to do better, got to play better, and he anticipates that he will rebound properly in this game.
Well, and he's going to have 2 guys in Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa who are going to be gunning for him, right? I mean, these are bad boys. How much of it, too, Rhett, is just getting familiar with how much pressure is allowed in front of him? Because this is a new line. He hasn't worked with them much in live game action. Do you feel like one game is enough to kind of feel that out a little now that you've got this front and these 2 guys on the edge coming?
Well, and it's still a developing picture, Kayla. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to backtrack just for a moment, because I've heard lots of angry callers the last couple of days talking about Ryan Tannehill. He didn't play in the preseason. Well, him playing in the preseason is not going to make the difference in what happens Sunday, because in the preseason, you're seeing vanilla everything. They're coming after you, but it's not the same as what week 1 in the regular season is. I mean, I don't know how much he would benefit from reps in a final preseason game, just because it is not, it's a simulation of the real stuff.
The real stuff, yeah.
But to your point, this offensive line did settle down in the second half of this thing. And Cam Jordan and those guys, I mean, that's a decent defense in this.
Sure.
I think they had 1 penalty and 1 quarterback sack allowed in the second half. So, and that also tells me that Tim Kelly was opening some things up to get them off that quick grind in the trenches and get it out so that somebody can have an opportunity in this. That part of it I want to see build. Because you look at the run blocking grades and the pass blocking grades for the Titans through PFF and some other places, they did pretty good.
Decent. Yeah.
And look, the operational errors and things they had with those penalties with false starts and whatnot, I think that was to be expected just because those guys did play all preseason. Yeah. And again, it still is not the same as the real live bullets that you face in the regular season in this, but they did that because they needed that time together. And, I think Ramon said it on the broadcast, you honestly need a good 4 or 5 weeks before you really start to finish each other's sentences, for the lack of a good term there.
Yep.
Yeah, that does just suck, though, because the wins and losses are just weighed so heavy. Each week is a heavy week. You know what I'm saying? As far as having the patience to watch a team grow. But again, the trajectory of a team, yes, every coach wants to go undefeated. The goal is to win games. But the absolute goal is to be ascending. Nobody wants to be 18-0 like the Patriots and then lose the 19th game.
Ooh. No.
Like, we're not looking for
regular season champion.
Jeez. That was one of probably the biggest heartaches I've ever seen a team have. Like, imagine being 18-0.
And as much as I dislike the Patriots, I was there for it.
Yeah, I know I was too.
I loved it.
I like Randy on that team.
But honestly, I'm like, good grief, what? You get all the way here and then stumble.
Can you imagine, man?
You're this close to the finish line.
Or imagine you're the Jets and you've mortgaged your entire franchise on one
4 plays in. Different story.
That's
completely flipped the script change.
How much did Vegas win recently?
There's no telling.
Because how much money went on them to win the Super Bowl because Aaron Rodgers? And truth be told, that is a solid team.
Well, just bets like winning their division.
That's
my God.
Yep, making the playoffs. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you say that though, and you never know what's going to happen because I don't think Josh Allen's going to win it no time soon unless something changes fast. I know we're off track a little bit, but
that's all right.
Yeah, Josh Allen is.
Did you see how many turnovers he's had since he's been in the league?
All of them. I mean, seriously.
Wow. Everyone.
Honestly, it's like 86 or 87 turnovers since 2018. I mean,
we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about it enough.
You can't descend at that point of your career in that specific category, too.
No.
Like, that is awful.
No.
Right.
But I will say this before we get to my scout meeting Wednesday, though, Rhett. There are 2 players on this team. I think you were going to talk about one, Will, defensively. Free agent.
I did.
You did? Oh, you're talking about JC.
Well, JC Jackson, who was terrible last year before he got hurt and wasn't exactly great coming back over the weekend either.
Well, I'm looking at another 2 guys on that roster, too.
Okay.
Khalil Mack.
Yep.
It's been obsolete almost in a sense. Watching him do work, and also Joey Bosa this past weekend. 1 log, 1 tackle.
Well, Mac's not getting any younger either.
He isn't either, but also having Bosa get healthy again this year. I think he's played a total of maybe 6 games in the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
He's been injured a lot.
A lot, but you're still going to have him here in Nashville as a healthy guy with Khalil Mack to have some rush ability too. Week 1 to week 2 for guys that had a zilch essentially on their call sheet, their stat line. I look for those dudes to have payback this week.
Well, and let's say this before you jump into Scout Meeting Wednesday, to go back to what Kayla said earlier about, are we ready to make a determination about things and kind of how the picture's developing. Let's not forget what we've seen in a one-game sample from their new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who came over from Dallas. 234 yards rushing as a team, and that bothers me as much as the other weapons we're going to discuss. But don't forget, they have a new defensive coordinator as well. So, with changes and things going on, sometimes you hit on plays in week one and you're feeling good going into week two, and sometimes it's still a work in progress, which is what we're talking about with what happened with the Titans, with what happened with the Chargers. And here's the crazier thing is somebody's going home 0-2.
I know.
So is.
Oh, my.
And we'll do a light version of it, but defensive coordinator, Will, you know who he is?
I do.
Derek Ansley.
That's right. Former Tennessee defensive coordinator.
That man said he ain't going back to college, Will.
Well, he can if he wanted to. You can't illegally recruit players in the NFL. Well, I guess you could. You can tamper, but
you can't tamper.
A little bit different.
I know.
All the McDonald's bags he wants up there in Los Angeles.
That's what I'm talking about. He can legally pass about now. It's called a salary, man. But Ansley, and what a great showing by him in week one, giving up 36 points. But we said this yesterday. Miami has a college-style team, essentially. They got a little bit of everything. They got speed. They got tricks. They got a quarterback that's moving like he's still at freaking Alabama. That's one story to another. That doesn't correlate essentially, but 36 points given up by them.
One story to another.
One story. Well, it
Tua.
doesn't.
Oh, Tua.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Appreciate that.
And Tyreek balled out.
Oh, my
did.
God.
Oh, my goodness.
8 catches, 8 targets, 214 yards, and 2 touchdowns, whatever it was, 211 yards.
Decent.
Decent. Wow. Hard judging over here, man.
That's right.
It helped me win fantasy. That's how I know.
But it's not a good showing though when you have your number one tackle on your team as far as the Chargers go, being your safety. How do you say his name here in a second? I'm gonna pull it up. Not Austin Eckler. Alohi Gilman.
Yep.
Gilly Killer is what they call him, a Gilly, man. He led them with 11 tackles last weekend. When your safety's piling up a lot of tackles, that means somebody is getting to the second and the third level as far as run support goes. They did give it up last week in the run game, too. They gave up almost everything. The best thing about what the Chargers have is they can be electric offensively. That's where they're making their hay right here. So watching this Titans defense, see if you can smother them the same way you did with the Saints this weekend is going to be very fascinating. Yes, the Saints got a bit of yards and chunk plays. The chunk plays were huge in New Orleans. This group actually got to the end zone against Miami.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
And I'm glad you brought that up because think about the Titans' defensive stat sheet.
Yeah.
The 2 leading tacklers was Kevin Byard with 8 and Elijah Molden was 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talking about stuff
Getting to the back.
Back into that third level. Here's the thing that I found on The Athletic, and I forget who wrote this, but credit to whoever you are. Sunday was historically bad on defense with the Chargers. Chargers allowed 14 pass completions longer than 15 yards. That's one more than any Charger team has allowed since at least the year 2000 in 384 games.
My goodness.
Yeah, they give it up, man.
Now, sorry to interrupt.
No, all good, man.
But to add to what you're talking about here.
We're going to dive deeper in the next hour, though, but this group has the names that you know.
Come on, man. I've wasted time now.
Rhett, we got to tease, man. You hadn't even heard the mic drop, the mic knocking on that one, man.
Okay.
That's when
That's fair.
That's the start of the meeting right there. When you hear the mic
It's dramatic
Right?
open with the NFL films music in the background.
That is true, and I heard that. I like that open. Go.
Right. But all in all, man, defensively is not their strong point. Or at least in week one, unless Miami is just that good, okay? But I'll say this. I'm always cautious of guys having bad weeks. Derwin James didn't have a good week. Eric Kendricks is on this team also. Khalil Mack was obsolete. And also Joey Bosa. Again, watching this guy do work this weekend is going to be fascinating. If the ruling is out that the Titans have a top 5 weekend as far as the offensive line, if I'm a defensive player, I'm salivating. I'm trying to get after it. I want to see how real it is. And so your point, Rhett, the stress of, or Will, I think that was you, somebody being 0-2 this week. Don't get tight. Please don't get tight offensive line. If they're giving it up a lot of yards defensively, take advantage of it. I will say their run defense was very solid in week 1. All in all, though, giving up a ton of yards in the passing game. If they do put the ball, if Tim Kelly does put the ball back in Ryan Tannehill's hand, I like the idea that they will give it up if Tannehill is on his P's and Q's this week.
Isn't Austin Eckler dealing with a little bit of injury,
He's got
too?
an ankle. We'll see. I'm interested to see what the injury report initial one looks like this afternoon when they release that, because that could be a big storyline going into Sunday. And don't know, whether he practices today or not. We're going to find out. But again, Joshua Kelly, the other back, he had 91 yards himself in this thing. And here's the other thing, just to start taking notes here for Shane Bowen and this defense. In a one-game sample, they were 60% on third down.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know.
60%,
Pretty
man.
Good. That's fair.
They had the 5th worst rushing defense. 5th worst rushing defense in the NFL last season. Gave up just under 2,500 yards, 119 per game to the Chargers in 2022. Rhett, when you talk about the Titans running backs and the snap count between Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry, a lot's been made about this. This was the fewest amount of touches that Derrick has had in a one-score game since 2019. What did you make of the way Tajay Spears was used, the way Derrick Henry was used? Because it feels like we asked for less runs on second and short. We asked for more options on first down. We got it. And now there are complaints on the other side from fans saying, now, wait a minute. Well, we wanted that, but we also want Derrick Henry to be on the field.
And that's what I find kind of comical is the callers and people have been so hot about this. It's like, wait a minute. Aren't these some of the same folks who were saying, we need to open up the offense? It's like we're trying to open up the offense. But look, you can't please everybody. It's just what it is. But no, first of all, it's a one-game sample. Second of all, it's dependent upon the opponent you're facing and what's going on there. And you just outlined the run defense, because the run defense has been, and the last time I talked to Daniel Jeremiah and Matt Money Smith, who does the Chargers broadcast, they were talking about run defense has been a place they've been trying to shore up. That's one of the reasons they went with a Khalil Mack and a trade with Bears a couple of years back. But anyway, it's dependent upon the opponent and just the ebbs and flows in the game. Because I guarantee you Mike Vrabel is not worried about who gets carries and who isn't. You start worrying about divvying that stuff up, and you're looking at the end of the scoreboard and when it's 000 there and you're on the L part, you're looking at an L. And it's just kind of how that stuff goes through the week and then through the game once you're playing through 4 quarters of this stuff. I just think we got to just see what they try to do to get better in week 2 in this thing. And I'm glad you've got 2 backs to be considered in this thing. And Julius Chestnut got some carries in this too. I think if Ryan Tannehill had hit a wide open Chig and a couple of other things there, we wouldn't even be talking as much about this, because the Titans would probably be 1-0 in this thing. But they're not, and so here we are. But these things are going to change week to week and ebb and flow differently. There'll be some weeks that maybe Derrick doesn't get as many carries because they feel like they can toss it around the yard and see what's up. So time will only tell.
That's right.
Yep.
It will.
Looking forward to hearing Rhett, Bryan, the rest of the Titans radio crew on their 500th broadcast this weekend as the Titans take on the Chargers. Rhett, great to talk to you as always. Thank you, sir.
Titans
Thanks,
Radio 500. Sorry, I've got a little bit of allergy here, so I've got the lowers there, and it's like hello.
The green flag on the 500th. Yep, 500th broadcast.
Wow.
I don't know how to English.
That's okay.
Coming up Sunday from Nissan Stadium.
You have the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
The wrong syllable, right. Poor buddy's nerfing.
Good to visit with y'all, and I'm glad that you gave me some time to talk about Titans Radio 500. I think it's cool. It'll be fun this week, and all I want is a W on Sunday, just like everybody else.
Because it's his birthday weekend.
Hey,
let's go.
That is the other thing. It's this guy's birthday on Sunday, and that's all I want. Just give me a dub, and I am happy.
Birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you, Stephen.
On the 500th broadcast. Coming up, we'll catch up on phone calls. Get to Riley and Jeremy coming up next. 615-737-1045.
It's Ramon Foster for Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Fall in Tennessee may be the best time of the year, and Scoreboard is ready to celebrate with Low Country Boys football and the best live music in Nashville. Now with 2 great locations, the original one across from the Grand Ole Opry, and now the shores of Old Hickory Lake at Cedar Creek. If it's a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday night, both Scoreboards will have all the games, food, and music you want. Whether it's by boat, Harley, truck, or chopper, you can land at either location. And if it's football time, it is Scoreboard time. So are you ready for some football? Because, again, 3HL, you can join them this Friday from 3 to 6 as they broadcast live from the newest Scoreboard at Cedar Creek location. And listen up, y'all. They'll have great giveaways and half off all drinks from 3 to 6. And if you want some UT versus UT San Antonio tickets, register to win a pair while you hang out with 3HL. So mark your calendars and get your appetite ready. With Low Country Boys with crab, shrimp, and all the fixings are back every Saturday from noon to 5. Scoreboard, Cedar Creek on Old Hickory Lake.
Welcome to your Wednesday morning on RKW. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up in 15 minutes, former Titan Matt Hasselbeck had an interesting conversation on the Mike Vrabel show the other night with Titans Radio's Rhett Bryan, who just joined us, plus Mike Keith. Interesting stuff on the difference between Week 1 and Week 2 as it pertains to Ryan Tannehill. Play you that audio coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. 615-737-1045. Let's get to Riley. He's been waiting patiently to chime in here with us this morning. Thanks for waiting, Riley. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Great. Good.
Good morning.
You guys hear me okay? I have my earbuds in.
We got
You're
you.
perfect.
Yeah, we got you. You're good.
So I wanted to first preface by saying congrats to Mike Keith, Rhett Bryan, and the coach for their 500th game. That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
With Will, my dad would put on Mike Keith instead of listening to the announcers on TV. When you guys came out to LA and we were all out there for California Titan fans, when we were all out there, I would have my earbuds in, listen to Mike Keith. I didn't listen to anything else going on in the stadium. So I think that's awesome. Congrats to those guys. I wanted to give a little positivity to Tannehill. I don't know why people I know why people are hating. He had a really bad game. He's had 2 really bad games his entire time with the Titans. He's had some other bad games, but he's not a bad quarterback that everybody else is making him out to be. He has been literally, stat-wise, he's been the best quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, and that hurts me to say because I'm a Steve McNair fan. I grew up around Steve McNair. I'm a huge fan, but at the same time, looking at stats and numbers, Tannehill has been the best. 2020, we lost to the Baltimore Ravens. Everyone blames him for the interception, but really we should be blaming the defense because the defense couldn't stop Lamar Jackson's 300-plus yard offense. Then we also have Bengals, which we're not going to go into, and then last year the arguably bad call on the fumble, or was it an incomplete pass, so on and so forth. So Tannehill has not been as bad as what Titan fans have made him out to be, and I just want Titan fans to calm down. Week 1, again, Ramon, I agree with you that Week 1 is the liar. It's not going to define what the team is. Give it, like you guys keep saying, 6 weeks. 6 weeks when we get to the bye is what's going to determine where we are as far as our team goes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Riley.
Yeah, and I
Appreciate
get where he's coming from in terms of, I know Titans fans, some of them are not going to be happy to hear that, but that's why we're all waiting to see how he rebounds from this. Because in my eyes, I think it was very uncharacteristic when it's all said and done in the body of work that Ryan Tannehill has had here in Tennessee. That was the most uncharacteristic game I have seen from him since I've been here and covered him.
Yeah.
So I think that's why us looking at it from a different perspective, not as a fan perspective, we're like, let's see how he bounces back or if he bounces back, because we almost think it's maybe a one-off type of situation. Whereas fans, I get it. Yeah. You're ready to move on, and you see this type of game, and it's like it's the end of the end.
And that's what it is. It's the biggest lead up of the season is Week 1. You know what I'm saying? From preseason to training camp and all the optimism that comes out of it and all the stuff you've kind of heard about it. We've all reported about the connection him and D-Hop has. How Tannehill looks confident, how his leadership is, taking even from last year, as leadership has grown essentially. How do his teammates feel about him too? We've all heard conversations and stories like Tannehill's a dude inside the locker room. Say what you want to, they like that guy. He loves playing ball, too. It's a matter of production on Sundays is where it comes down to.
Yeah.
You hope the adjustments aren't over-adjustment this week. And you just simply go play ball. Getting comfortable with the practice should be a whole lot different this week.
Let's go to Jeremy in Hendersonville up next, 615-737-1045. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Great. Good morning.
Good. Hey, I was hoping you guys could shed some light on this. I thought it was really weird how often Spears was in first and second down sets. When Spears was in at running back, they passed 30 out of 33 times. And when Henry was in there, they passed 12 out of 28 times. And so I feel like they were holding up a billboard that said run or pass based on who the back was. And so, when Spears was in there, they're dropping 7. All 3 picks that Tannehill threw were when Spears was in there. I feel like the whole point of trying to open up this offense was, 1, to give Henry some more room to run, and also, 2, have him in the backfield so that you're getting one-on-one coverage with D-Hop. So I just thought it was really weird how often Spears was in there and how it really kind of put Tannehill in the worst position to have success because they were all obvious. And it wasn't all just, third and longs like it was last year. It was 1st and 10, 2nd and 10. Even 1st and 15, I would like to see Henry in there. He can trot for 7 or 8 and get it back into a manageable second down position. So, I thought it was really weird how often they just kind of gave away their game plan, let the defense kind of drop back, know it was a pass, guess pass, and really be successful on 90% of the time when Spears was in there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. I don't know. The pushback I would give on that is that Tyjae Spears was in there predominantly for obvious pass situations to begin with. And what they're trying to do is be less predictable by having him either block or run a myriad of different routes that Derrick Henry can't run. I think Tyjae Spears actually makes them more multiple and less predictable. And I think where the snap count makes a difference is the amount of times that Tyjae Spears was in the slot or as a wide receiver with Derrick Henry also on the field.
Yeah.
Because Derrick Henry was still in the backfield about as much, if not more, than Tyjae Spears was. Tyjae was also then motioned out as a slot receiver, which I think speaks to how much they view him as one of their best playmakers with the football in his hands. I don't think there's any concern over that. And again, I go back to the fact that it would have worked to win the game if Ryan just makes 2 wide open throws that he typically makes to Chig and to Tyjae later in the game.
Yeah. We're up against it, but this is a simple question I kind of want to ask. What do you want then? Do you want a pound game with Derrick, or do you want to open it up like Rhett said? And I'm not pushing back on you, but Tyjae's the multiverse back is what you're saying.
We'll continue that and get to the Matt Hasselbeck quote with the Mike Vrabel show the other night when it comes to the difference between week 1 and week 2 for a quarterback. That's coming up next on RKW.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. You usually hear Dean Glasscock on here. Over 29 years of experience in the Middle Tennessee area. And look, they really do it all. You can call Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for free visual health screening and assessment of your trees, shrubs, and plants. They have an awesome 7-step program to make sure everything is good and ready going into these winter months. And we were talking about that 7-step application spray program. They can come by every 6 weeks to actually monitor and make sure your trees and shrubs are protected from an influx of insects right here in Middle Tennessee. We all know who have yards and that landscaping and trees and shrubs that they can get to you. So make sure you can help prevent and control disease and fertilize your trees with Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. Make sure to give them a call, 299-9999. That is also online at arborart.net. Call them.
What's going on? Good morning. 8 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Holdout is over in Kansas City for Chris Jones as he signed a one-year deal to stay with the Chiefs this year, ending his holdout. The one-year deal worth up to $25 million with a base of $19.5. That's the same as his existing contract, but under the new contract, he'll have more ways to make up the money he lost in fines with the new incentive package. Now, he's still going to be a free agent after this season, but Kansas City still owns the right to franchise tag him. The Bengals have released offensive tackle La'el Collins from the PUP list, and he is now a free agent. Collins was signed before the 2022 season and held down the right tackle spot until he tore his ACL in December. Still rehabbing from the injury is the reason he started the season on the physically unable to perform list. Your good news for the day, your feel-good story, former Bears running back Tariq Cohen, who has not played in the NFL since suffering an ACL and MCL tear in September of 2020, plans to sign with the Carolina Panthers practice squad today. Good for Tariq. And the Titans practice report, along with the Chargers, will come out later today, where we'll get an update on the health of Amani Hooker and Chargers running back Austin Eckler. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show already, and it starts right now this morning on 104.5 The Zone. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. With our 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster, our Capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen. My name is Will Bowling. You can join us on the phones at 615-737-1045 in the F&M Bank chat. You can watch us as well on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, or Twitch. The YouTube chat has been alive. It has been open. Mm-hmm. It's been good. Good start to the show.
Yeah, lots of football today.
I forget how quickly the week goes by once you get into the groove of football season.
Facts.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Oh my gosh, hump day.
Hump day.
My goodness.
For real, like days have their labels when it's football season. You know what I'm saying? Like
I sure do.
They really do have their labels. I think one of the best things Will said this morning, amongst other things, was Tuesday, Wednesdays to get by days. Mm-hmm. We got football.
Football.
Man, this dude, Jaheim Schaefer, I think is his name on my phone.
Oh, no. It's Jaleel. Shoot, what is it? No.
Jaleel? No.
It's Julius.
Julius
Schaefer.
Julius Schaefer sent me the video of that football moment right there, that viral clip right there. Thank you, Julius. That was real cool.
Oh, my gosh. Jeez,
he do the same to us.
Yeah, I think you guys really forgot his name.
Funny thing is, I told Shafe that we just always now say that he has a different J name. And he was like, it's like, my kids have grown up. It's like, I'm really proud of you.
You can never forget Jacob.
Justin was such a good producer for us. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Talking about Ryan Tannehill, and of course, that's all anyone wants to talk about, and for good reason, this week in Nashville. I thought this was interesting from Matt Hasselbeck over the Monday night Mike Vrabel show, talking about the difference between week 1 and week 2. I think specifically here, interesting how he mentions fixating on one wide receiver. This was Matt Hasselbeck the other night on Titans Radio.
Well, I think teams take the biggest jump in between weeks 1 and 2, and some of it are just like things that are just communication things on the sidelines, just being in the fire. How are we going to communicate? How are we going to talk about it? For a quarterback in a new system with new players, maybe a new star wide receiver, whatever it might be, at the time I had Kenny Britt, I noticed Ryan Tannehill now, he has DeAndre Hopkins. Sometimes that can be a great thing. Sometimes you can feel like you're forcing it to the guy a little bit. But that first week, you get the kinks out. What it comes down to for me is third down. How do you compete or how do you perform on third down? Are we giving up sacks? Are we throwing interceptions? Are we protecting the ball? Are we scoring? Are we letting our punter punt? Sometimes that's the best thing you can do. Quarterbacks, they make their money on third down. Offenses can make or break the game on third down. And really, I think that's the key. And so week 2, I think that's the thing I would look for. If I was going to look for one thing, how are people around the league doing on third down offensively? And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, they weren't good on third down.
That was
game.
Matt Hasselbeck the other night on Titans Radio on the Mike Vrabel show. If Ryan Tannehill is fixating too much on DeAndre Hopkins, who needs more attention and more clear communication this Sunday against the Chargers?
Who needs more communication?
Who needs more attention as far as other targets?
Oh,
who
man.
does Ryan Tannehill need to look at the most?
I'd go Traylon and Chick. Those are your two premier guys. I'll say that as far as like the expectation of who's supposed to, as far as pecking order goes and stuff like that, it should be Traylon and Chick. It should. And that's why I think we're all feeling that way. I will say this too. If it actually turns out to be NWI, and I know it was one game and he had a nice finish to the game. Sure. And that's the reason I'm bringing his name up more often than not, because if the offensive set doesn't allow Chig to be out there, right? Or if Traylon is also having the number 2 cornerback and a safety on him too, think about it. D-Hop's going to draw 2 potentially. Traylon is at that point to where we at least know the name. If the one ain't working, guess what? We're going to shut down 2 also. That leaves you 3 if it comes down to Tajee being out there and no offensive set with Chig. NWI is your guy.
I'm going to go over some numbers with you. So DeAndre Hopkins had 13 targets on Sunday compared to what we just mentioned, Traylon Burks, who had only 3 targets, Chigakonkwo 2 targets, and NWI 7. That needs to be broken up a little bit. That needs to be distributed a little bit differently. I think 10 for D-Hop and then maybe do a 6, or it needs to be distributed a little bit differently than what we saw on Sunday, because I think he was forcing it to D-Hop in certain moments.
The game flow will allow it for sure. Definitely. You're right about that. But I'll say this too. This is what operating with a number 1 does for you. They get double-digit targets.
He's also getting used to that, Ryan is. With this new weapon that is so much of a dominant number 1. I mean, he had AJ, but he worked with AJ a long time to get to that point.
Yeah.
Lemon Pepper Stepper in the FNN Bank chat asks, when can we call Burks a bust?
No.
What?
No.
What a great name and what a terrible comment.
Well, it's a question, not a comment.
That's such a solid name.
But answer it. When can you call him a bust?
When you call
not anytime soon.
Year 4? If he's
I'll say by the end of
Yeah.
his rookie contract.
Yeah.
Going into the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
That's a fair
100%.
question. If you're asking when do you, that's a fair question.
No, yeah, he's not. I don't think he's making the comment. Just a question.
Okay. Do you call him going into year 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry that we came at you so hard.
No,
Right?
I'm going to keep coming at you. I think it was dumb. Remember
It's just
Devontae
hard to
Adams?
think about right now. It's like, wait a second.
Devontae Adams was awful his rookie year.
Right.
He was less than stellar his sophomore year. He didn't blossom until later in his rookie career.
I think Chigakonkwo is the guy that needs more attention Sunday more than Traylon Burks. Chig, to me, is more of a matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties he's going up against. And it's no disrespect to Traylon, but I think at the tight end position specifically, look at the interception Ryan threw and looking for Chris Moore deep down the field. And tell me who is wide open running towards the boundary on the left-hand side. It's Chig.
It's Chig.
He's wide open.
And when he gets those opportunities, though, he has to make them because he's had a little bit of misstep here and there. So he has to make them.
You mean Ryan or Chig?
Chig, even, in the preseason stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has.
You got to close him out.
He absolutely has.
He has to be the finisher if he's going to be this guy at tight end. I agree with that.
615-737-1045. Josh is in Nashville. Up next with us this morning. Hey, Josh.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Great.
Good morning.
Cool. So my feelings got hurt a little bit.
Okay.
Don't bring Steve McNair into this. That's Man, listen, let me ask you guys a question. Is there ever been a time, was there ever a time in Steve McNair's career at any level where the team needed 4 yards and the coach thought, nah, I don't think Steve's going to be able to get it. Let's not put the ball in Steve's hands. That's never happened, ever. So you can throw out all the statistics you want to, but the reality is, if I need 4 yards and I have the choice between Ryan Tannehill and Steve McNair, there's no question. Steve McNair all day long. So if you also want to look at stats, if any tight end who's ever had more than 14 receptions, Mike Vrabel is the most successful tight end of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time. So you can play with statistics.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Appreciate the call. I agree that Steve was a better quarterback than Ryan. Obviously, Steve is also an MVP of the NFL, which Ryan has not been, of course. But it is interesting. The stats do favor Ryan. Yeah. When you look at the numbers, just point-blank numbers. And granted, Ryan Tannehill is playing in a much different NFL than Steve McNair was. A much different NFL. The rules are all in place to help the quarterback, A, stay upright, and B, find wide receivers deep down the field that are allowed to maul defensive backs who just got to sit there and try to get the ball in the process and can't really fight back. So I do agree that Steve McNair was still the best quarterback in Titans history. But statistically, Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback that this franchise has had in Nashville. That's bad. Statistically. But that's why you don't just read the box score and make judgments. Yeah, we had a caller, if you missed it, in the last hour saying that Ryan is the best quarterback the Titans have had. Skill-wise, that's just a difficult conversation when you talk about the different eras those two guys played in.
Right.
It's still Steve.
Eras is definitely different.
Right.
Eras is definitely different.
And Steve did it in the playoffs, took the team to a Super Bowl, too.
Exactly.
Which is important.
Tannehill was close.
Not really.
He was right for a little bit.
No, he was right for a little bit. No, he was
Expected
close.
more.
He was close, man. That's a very special job with a lot of weight on it, too. Being the franchise quarterback. I'm hoping he is a pro and bounce back. And you mentioned the different eras that he and Steve McNair are in as far as Steve's play style, too. Tannehill is athletic enough to do that, though. I've always kind of said that.
Absolutely is.
Instead of using that ability sometimes, I don't think we get enough out of him using his legs.
You willing to take the risk of him getting hurt more now, though, that you have two legitimate backups? Like, legitimate question, not being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Are you more willing to run Ryan and put him in harm's way, knowing that you don't have Logan Woodside as the backup anymore? I think it's fair.
That's a fair question. Yeah. I think the option
You're not trying to get him hurt, obviously.
No. The option for him to tuck it and run, I'd be into that a little bit more, especially if he's feeling the pressure of the pocket, too. Again, we saw him be a little skittish around pressure. Go. Slide. I'm sure he played baseball growing up.
Well, we've seen it from him in the past.
We have seen it.
We absolutely have seen the Tana wheels.
And that's
right?
why I'm asking for it. And maybe that is, to your point, Will, a little bit too premature. Hey, he's paid to throw the ball. Why run the ball? But I like the idea that he
could do both.
Athletic enough to hit the sideline.
Emmett Jones in the chat, in the F&M Big Chat, no, that's not true. He was running all over the place in practice in this past fall camp.
Was his ankle surgically repaired?
The comment was Tannehill ain't running on that ankle.
No, he was running all over.
That's what I'm saying. Rolled ankles happen every day, B. Legitimately.
Yeah, I don't get the impression that Ryan's ankle problems last year are keeping him from running.
Yeah, he said he's feeling 100% in that category.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, our number. We'll get to Chris on the phone lines coming up next. We'll also get to Scout Meeting Wednesday. The weaknesses in a Los Angeles Chargers defense that has a lot of brand name players who aren't making a ton of brand name plays. Coming up as we preview Titans and Chargers with you right here on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster from myphdweightloss.com. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gents, yes, and I say ladies and gents because on average, most male clients lose between 3 to 5 pounds a week, and most female clients lose between 2 to 3 pounds a week if done correctly. This is a system for everybody, and specifically for you. If you've been thinking about it, Get off the couch. Matter of fact, stay on the couch and just go to your website. Use your phone and go to their website, myphdweightloss.com, and get those results that you're looking for. This morning, hit the gym, and the guy I hadn't seen in a little while. I was like, hey, man, you look good. It's like the diet must be working. I was like, it is. And that's all I had to say. Just simply because the results will be there. You understand yourself a whole lot more. And it's not just a you thing, although I'm mentioning yourself. You will have a coach. You will have somebody to walk you through your path and far as your weight loss journey, because it is that. It's a lifestyle change. It's a you change. It's a mind shift. If this is something you've been thinking about, trust me, you want to take this step. Visit myphdweightloss.com. Again, it's myphdweightloss.com.
Wednesday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number as we talk Titans. Want to remind you as well that Nashville SC is teaming up with 1045 The Zone to kick childhood cancer. The campaign benefiting the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital all September. You can join the NSC Kick Club by contributing $10 a month or a one-time gift of $120 by texting Kick Cancer to 615-488-4401. That's 615-488-4401. You can learn more by visiting 1045thezone.com. Great calls from ourselves, from Nashville SC, to kick childhood cancer. 615-488-4401. Text Kick Cancer to them and be involved with us for a good cause all September. Dan in the F&M Bank chat asks the question that, again, we have told ourselves we will not be discussing because it's not going to happen. Would you give Tannehill to the Jets if they would give up a second-round pick for him?
Yes.
And they're not going to give up a second-round pick.
No.
So.
Well, they can't. They don't have one.
They don't have one.
Oh, wait. No, that's true.
No,
they traded that for Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
I was in reverse brain there for a second.
It'd be like that sometime, bro. It'd be like that. But yes, I'm giving him up for a second. He is an expiring contract going into next year. Yes, send him on the first train.
And that will not be happening.
Yeah, but it won't be happening.
0% chance.
Mm-hmm. So stop asking.
Chris is at Nashville up next. 615-737-1045. Hey, Chris.
Good morning. So look, it is a coincidence, or is it strange that we play our best games against AFC South teams? And that those are our rivalries. So it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that Vrabel hides all he plays. He hides. He's like playing chess for later games, it seems like. Because we were not supposed to lose this game. And I know the Saints referee, not the Saints referees, but the referees at the Saints game were terrible, but we were not supposed to lose this game. We have way more plays than what we show. It just seems like we play our best games against AFC South teams. What do you guys think about that? And is there something to it?
Thanks, Chris. I would say there is something to it, partly just because AFC South isn't very good.
Oh, it's also this. You see them every day. Whether coaching changes or not,
Twice
you
a
know
year,
the personnel.
I think it's that simple, honestly.
Yeah.
But Vrabel's coached up some good games against big dogs. Like, not last year. Obviously, last year was not a great year overall. But Kansas City, Buffalo, games in the past where they should have had no chance of winning those games. They played some good ball.
Right. They have. But you're supposed to play your division good, though. I'm not trying to dismiss you, Chris, but your main focus is win your division. You win your division, you punch your ticket to the postseason.
And I don't think you're saving anything in the NFL regular season ever. I mean,
no.
Genuinely, you're saving things in college sometimes when you're playing FCS teams earlier in the year or you're playing directional schools. It's different. But those are preseason games, essentially, for college football teams. In the NFL, you're not saving anything. There's no point. Everyone's good.
Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Cardinals. I mean, nearly beat the Commanders in Washington.
A backup quarterback.
I know. 615-737-1045 in the F&M Bank chat as well. Chosen522 says, not completely true. We lost to the Texans and Jags at home last year. It's also fair.
That's also very true, sir.
With the backup.
Yeah.
So, Scout Meeting Wednesday.
Let's do this thing.
Brings us to the Los Angeles Chargers as Ramon Foster gives us his notes and puts us in the film room for Titans in Week 2. Good. Gotta say that one in unison with you.
Yeah, that's true though, right? Saints last weekend, any given Sunday, played as good as you need to and still didn't pull it out. Both teams this week coming into this thing, as far as the Chargers and Titans being 0-1, man. A comeback loss to Miami at home, too. They lost their home opener, man. Expect them to want to ruin your home opener this weekend, too. Head coach Brandon Staley, he's 19-16 as a coach. Offense, we'll start with them first. We're good with that? You all ready to roll?
Yep.
Send it.
Offensively, this is a key point right here. They were 9 of 16 on third down last week. Yep. 60% on third down. That's crushing it. All right, effective as heck. This offense is also led by Kellen Moore, left the Cowboys to become the OC of I was going to say San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
And you know what? The reason I think he took this job, he was under some head coaching consideration. He wanted to work with a potential stud in this league, and that's Justin Herbert, man. And we're going to start with him. This last game. 23 of 33 in the last game. That's 69.7% completion rating, okay? For his career, he has 67% completion rate for as far as passing goes. Finished last Sunday with 228 yards, sacked 3 times. He can move around with his legs, love moving around with his legs, and 4 rushes for 18 yards and a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Do solid. It's going to be tackled by committee. It's a party at the quarterback, the way you got to look at it this weekend. I say that, but the running game was elite this past weekend in week 1. We'll see what Miami run defense looks like over the course of the year by the time the Titans get to them on Monday Night Football. But the running game, Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly. Solid day for those two dudes, man. Austin Eckler, hear this stat line right here. 117 yards on 16 carries and a touchdown. That's 7.3 per tote.
Damn.
With a 55-yarder, and is very good in the passing game, too. Accumulated 4 catches for 47 yards. This dude had a day.
And a 35-yard catch in that as well. Plus a 55-yard rush. He is an explosive play waiting to happen at the running back position.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about 16 carries for 117 yards, that's offensive efficiency. That's when we speak about when compared to what you get from Derek, is repetition. And it allows you, like, he's giving you bursts and stuff like that. And Derek does that, too. It just takes time. Josh Kelly also his backup. You don't get a day off with these two. I will say this, Austin Eckler does have an ankle. We brought it up in the last ankle.
We'll see when that first injury report comes out today.
We will see that. Josh Kelly finished the day with 16 rushes for 91 yards, 5.7 a tote. You got your hands full in the run game.
Yeah.
And I just got to go to the O-line real quick, too, before we move to the wide receivers and tight end. Solid group. Former first-rounders on both on the left side, a left tackle and left guard. Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, who I loved coming out also.
Boston College guy.
Yes. Veteran Corey Lindsley up the middle at center. You got Jamari Sayer out of Georgia is a man mover.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a good matchup between him and Jeff and Tierre this weekend. I'm waiting to see what he does because he was moving people against the Miami Dolphins. And, of course, at right tackle, Trey Pipkins is solid, too. He's been in the league for a while, consistently just been a starter. He recently got a 3-year, $21 million deal for a right tackle. That's real good money. And I got to bring this up. You know where I'm headed, Will. I'm immature as heck. One of the best names in all of football on the offensive line. Will Clapp is his name, okay? I just like the name, okay? Will Clapp is his name. Very solid.
Trey Pipkins, by the way, a third-round pick out of the football powerhouse Sioux Falls.
Wow.
6'6", 307 in his 5th season at right tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Finding gems.
Go on with your bad self.
Finding gems in small schools, man. That's huge.
That's right.
They do get a lot of players out of, what do you call it, Midwest? They have Boise
I don't know
on
if
their
Sioux
team.
Falls is Midwest.
What do you call
God.
it? North?
That's just Sioux Falls. I don't know. That's just a part of the map that there's no dots and
Dakotas.
we don't go over there.
No direction whatsoever. Wide receivers. The biggest wide receiver group you're probably going to see all year long. Just listen to this. Keenan Allen, 6'2". Mike Williams, 6'4". The rookie, Quentin Johnson from TCU, is 6'4". Josh Palmer, 6'1". Tight end Gerald Everett is 6'3". And tight end Donald Parham, who scored a touchdown last week, is 6'8". He scored that touchdown on a contested slant route. And you know how he caught that? He's 6'8".
Yeah, his hands are like a vice grip in catching the football.
And most big dudes like that don't have good hands.
Right.
He caught that ball with his hands last week, and that's uber impressive, man. But all of these dudes with Justin Herbert mobility and their catch radius, as coaches like to talk, that's that next gen stuff, Will.
Yep.
He can toss it up to these guys, and they bring it in.
Yeah.
if Christian Fulton ain't ready, hey, stay out of this one.
Well,
okay?
That's my biggest thing I thought about because they've been solid at shutting down the run. Now, this is a different challenge if Austin is playing, right?
It is.
However, it don't matter if you shut down the run. If your back end is going to give up those massive plays on third down, like that's not going to get you anywhere. And especially because they're going to find the end zone in those situations.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you're right. They better be ready to play big boy ball, physical ball this weekend in the secondary because these receivers, these tight ends, they're massive.
They are massive. And just to start with some of the stat line that Keenan Allen has last week, is not probably a more consistent guy in the league than him. If healthy, he's one of the best is what I have down. Last week, he logged 6 receptions for 76 yards. Older but savvy. Year 11 for him. Quickly, Mike Williams, he might be the biggest if guy in the NFL. He's the biggest if guy in NFL. If he stays healthy, if he can stay out there, man. Last week, he's the number 2 on this squad, 4 for 45. Hadn't finished the entire season yet. That's his issue. But when he's out there, he may actually be their number 1 threat. He may be number 1 out there. It's just that Keenan Allen is available, and he's always Johnny on the spot. Quentin Johnson had his introduction. Again, another big body guy. Finished last week, 2 receptions for 1 yards. Rookie, expect that out of him, but expect him to probably grow into that Keenan Allen role moving forward. Josh Palmer had a big year last year with the absence of Mike Williams, actually.
Vol,
knows ball. Ton of talent, man. Finished last year with 769 yards. Former third-round pick, big year for him going into his contract year.
You don't think of him having that many yards either.
No, he crushed it last year.
Because Josh Palmer, when everyone's healthy, is the 3rd wide receiver of the Chargers offense, which is crazy.
Think about that.
Behind Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, a weapon at the tight end position as well. You wear a single number as a tight end, that rent comes due.
Yeah, it does.
You better be him. And Gerald Everett is on many occasions. But think about that. Your 3rd wide receiver had 796 yards last season. That's the kind of offense Titans fans dream of.
That's having a day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's for sure having a day, man. But, yes, all in all, they got a very solid receiving and tight end group, man. Of course, we mentioned the tight ends, Gerald Everett and Donald Parham. It's going to be fascinating to see who matches up with Parham. Parham actually catches a lot more than Everett has as of late. And, again, the red zone fascination that you have with a dude that's 6'8", that's got good hands, that's a matchup nightmare. And he was covered on that slant route last week, and Herbert just zipped it.
Right.
For a TD.
Let's get into the defense.
Defense. Here we go. Defense, man, they're iffy. They just simply is that team has 3 sacks last weekend, but that's because Tua ran out of bounds trying to protect himself. Nobody on their team statistically logged a sack. Tua's run out of bounds. Gave up. This is where it gets very interesting as people want to take the ball out of Tannehill's hand. They gave up 566 yards passing last week. I'm salivating if I'm a team facing them. Also, but only gave up 70 yards rushing. If I'm throwing for almost 500 yards, I'm probably not going to put the ball on the ground either. Okay, it's just simply how it go. And it starts with Joey Bosa. And I got to throw Khalil Mack in this too. Both these dudes veteran guys. Defensive Player of the Year, former by Khalil Mack. Didn't really sniff much last week, 2 tackles. Joey Bosa only had 1 tackle. 1 tackle on the game. Career-wise, 16.5 sacks in 8 years. Last 2 years have been very injury-prone for him. But you get a healthy Joey Bosa going into week 2 on the road, 0-1.
Yeah.
Gonna be fascinating.
That's the interesting thing because it feels like you have a lot of guys with big names on this Chargers defense.
You do.
And he's the one that's most in his prime. Asante Samuel Jr. is a great nickel corner.
Yep.
Titans have a difficult job against that secondary, but it's a secondary that got burned against Tua, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill a week ago. I mentioned it in the last hour. I'm still fascinated with how bad J.C. Jackson has been. You read reports out of Los Angeles. The guy's been a disaster. He got hurt for most of last season, but when he was healthy, wasn't good, and just doesn't seem to be a fit in Brandon Staley's defense. And we mentioned it with Rhett Bryan. Gave up 3 catches on 8 targets for 99 yards and a touchdown. Had an interception in the end zone, a jump ball interception, and then brought it out of the end zone and got to the 4-yard line. Yeah. Chargers then had to turn it over back to the Dolphins. Dolphins immediately scored. It basically helped them lose 7 points by just bringing it out of the end zone and making a dumb play. The guy has not been what they paid for in L.A.
Right. Has not, man. But I'll tell you who has been when he's out there, too. His theme song should be Mama Said Knock You Out because Derwin James does not play.
Yeah, he's him. Good player.
Is that good? He's good, yeah. He's him, man. What you will see, and you saw this in the Miami game, which is probably why the run game hasn't been so solid, he going to hit the line of scrimmage. He going to try to get a tackle for loss, and he had one last week. He is not afraid of contact when he goes to the line of scrimmage, but he's also good in coverage, too. He is as solid as it gets, man. And I brought him up earlier. Alohi Gilman, very solid safety for that group, too. Their D-line is nothing really special to call home about outside of the outside edge guys. They have some run stopping. Last week, Miami just so happened to chose to throw the ball instead of running the ball, and they connected a lot. Their rushers have not gotten home in game one.
It's really surprising.
And I don't think a lot about that Miami offensive line. They could not get to Tua. Did they flush him out 1 or 2 times? Yes. But as far as them getting to him in the pocket, they could not do it. And that's why the back end of this defense allowed so many passing yards. On top of Austin Eckler getting started in the screen run game too.
That's why this makes this a little bit more fascinating than what we first think of because of all the points the Chargers put up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like this defense against the Titans offense that we're hoping makes bigger strides this week. They can only go up from there, right? Mm-hmm. Like where are we going to land with this? It's going to be interesting how that plays out specifically. Like you said, if they can't get the pressure, like they weren't able to get last week with I think not a great Miami offensive line either. Mm-hmm. Where do we see this coming together with this matchup? Like that's fascinating to me.
If Tannehill's not on the same page, he need to figure it out this weekend. Here's the other thing too, which will tell you what they're doing on first and second down. Third down for the Chargers defense, 44%. I mean, that's still a little high, but offensively, they went 60%. So both sides of the ball got a challenge this week as far as stopping that Chargers offense and this defense just capitalizing, if you don't choose his life, the passing game.
What is the X factor matchup? One position group for the Titans against another for the Chargers that decides this game.
Wide receivers and DBs.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You do. And I would throw this to the effectiveness of Derwin James stopping the run.
Okay.
I'm attacking the line of scrimmage if I'm them. If I can stop Derek, home, game, opener, then I'm going to force the ball in Tannehill's hand the same way the Saints did last week.
615-737-1045, our number. We'll start with Andy on the phone lines when we come back as we wrap up hour number 3 on a Scout Meeting Wednesday edition, Talking Titans on RKW.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency, a local agency founded from the ground up back in 2010. Chris Ingram, along with his team of fully licensed professionals, have created really a strong agency that focuses on serving not just the Middle Tennessee area, but the entire state. So let's say you need insurance or you're looking for somebody new. This is the company to work with, specializing in a wide array of products. Look, they've got everything, including auto, home, life, commercial, even aviation. And it isn't your average insurance company. You're just not another name on the roster. The Ingram Agency was founded off of passion and education of support. They also have the goal to really guide their clients comprehensively in the right direction. It's all about the customer. So if you want a family-owned insurance company who truly cares about you, call the Ingram Agency, 615-206-8276, or you can log on to find more at theинgramagency.com. Rest easy with the Ingram Agency.
Wednesday morning, wrapping up hour number 3 on RKW. Coming up in hour number 4, we'll talk a little bit of Tennessee Vols and Florida Gators. I feel stressed just saying that. It's okay. We're good. Battered Vol syndrome is behind me.
I was going to say, you won last year. You do know that, right?
Yeah, I know I do. I definitely do. 615-737-1045. If you missed our conversation with Rhett, Bryan, if you miss any of our conversations with anybody, reminder that our show is podcasted every day, every single hour, right when the show ends. Our guy Jackson Williams doing a great job keeping our digital operations up in tip-top shape. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button while you're there. Apple, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher. Every hour, every show, right after the show is over on your favorite podcast platform. Let's go to the phones. Andy is in Clarksville. Up next, 615-737-1045. What's up, Andy?
Hey, thanks for that whole scouting report on the Chargers. I feel ready for the game. That was awesome. RKW dropping the knowledge for us. Thank you.
No doubt.
So, Tannehill and the Titans, even before the season started, I thought, what do they need to do to get to the playoffs and hopefully even farther? Be like the Ravens when they
Andy.
Must be
We lost Andy.
You just dropped.
Freaking bum.
Let's we're gonna throw Andy on hold real quick, see if we can get his connection sorted out there.
That ain't number 24 right there in them trees.
I'm glad the praise.
There is those spots.
I'm glad him praising us at least got through before the connection.
Before the Ravens drop. Yeah.
See if we can reconnect with him in a minute here.
No doubt, man.
I looked down at my phone. I immediately, I almost counted down the seconds of getting a text from Ron Slay the second I said that I have anxiety about Tennessee, Florida.
Yeah.
I think this is a game I'm allowed to have a little bit of anxiety for.
No, you're not.
Okay.
You won last year.
Mm-hmm.
I will take the criticism regardless. I will also take the criticism of when I was anxious going into the Kentucky game, and then Kentucky still didn't get 100 yards passing in that game. But Florida, I feel like, is a bit of a different beast that we're going to dive into.
Oh, is he back, Andy?
I believe we are working on it.
Maybe.
Andy.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
I wonder if Andy also has his name written on his shoe, just like all the toys in Toy Story. No, and we've not heard back from Andy.
Okay.
Oh,
Connection
come on,
tough.
man. I actually wanted to hear you.
It was going in the right direction.
Dang. I actually wanted to hear that.
Other news yesterday, Love is alive again.
Huh?
Hear the rumor that
geez.
Travis Kelce is talking with Taylor Swift?
Kelsey actually got that. He made it happen?
It's the word on the street.
Doesn't seem like a match to me, but I don't know.
Someone said he's a handsome guy with a stable job. This is not Taylor's type.
Oh, boy.
She like toxic?
I think so.
Well, I wouldn't say he's non-toxic.
I would say Travis Kelce's pretty toxic.
Is he not?
He's a nice guy.
I think he's a nice dude.
A later
But he's-
refuted story from his previous relationship.
Jeez.
But the story was that he made her use all her own money. He never gave her any money to spend. If that's toxic, maybe.
Hey,
Well,
how dare he? I mean, if
Taylor has plenty of that.
If he broke up with her, that means he was right. She wasn't the one.
He already tried to give Tayller more than he gave his previous girlfriend by giving her one of those Taylor Swift wristbands or
they
bead
light
jewelry,
up?
whatever the hell they're selling now.
Yeah, did you hear the story, though? He actually gave her a check, but instead of an amount, there was a blank space.
Oh, gosh. Oh, boy.
I'm lost.
That's a title name of the song. Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Robert playing us out.
Hey, Ramon, shake it off.
I'm going to shake it off, man.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, where are you going with this, Will? What is that? What is a blank space?
It's been a cruel summer hearing my jokes. 615-737-1045. Andy is back on the phone lines with us. Andy, you got us?
Yeah, Interstate 24, you know how it drops.
That's right.
I knew it.
Ramon guessed it.
I knew it.
So, what I was saying is the Titans need to be like the Ravens back in the day with Ray Lewis, had a great defense, he's solid. Tannehill needs to be a game manager. I know that's an ugly word for some NFL quarterbacks, but just don't screw it up. That's what Trent Dilfer did with a chance to, get to the playoffs and maybe farther. That's what we need to see, and want to hear what you have to say.
Appreciate the call. Thank you, Andy.
So that means not making mistakes, turnovers. And like you said, and I know people don't like to hear game manager, yes, but doing the things you need to do clean.
Yep.
And Vrabel said it time and time again. It's why he put the ball in the defense's hand to end the game, because he believes in this defense 120%.
Yep.
So Ryan needs to be at least good.
He does.
Average.
Much as we don't want to use that manager system quarterback, it's true. You're successful with that.
Sure.
Look at the way Tua's operating. Think about where he was. Now look at the way he's operating on the system. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's efficient as heck right now. He's giving what's given to him.
What he practice? What did Ryan need to practice? Jiu-jitsu or whatever? Jiu-jitsu.
Whatever it is, it ain't going to happen this year. Next year here, apparently.
In the F&M Bank chat, comment says, if we used Henry in the second half with a lead, Ryan would have had the opportunity to manage the game. Instead, he was forced to play one-dimensional football by Tim Kelly. Yeah, I still don't think that's a Tim Kelly problem. Guys were wide open. Make the throws. It's not Tim Kelly's fault. You trust a quarterback making $25 million a year to hit Chikakonkwo wide open down the sideline.
Talk to him.
Yeah.
To hit Tajay Spears wide open down the sideline. It's not like you're asking Ryan Tannehill to play a Patrick Mahomes level. You're asking him to play a Daniel Jones level. You're asking him to be Kirk Cousins. You're asking him to be the Ryan Tannehill that you've had for 3 seasons.
Most people
it's not asking too much.
Most people are going to gush over Justin Herbert this week. He only had 228 yards passing.
It's not a Tim Kelly issue. The days of running Derrick Henry 40 times for 200 yards are over. I don't think you want to run Derrick Henry 40 times for 200 yards in week 1. I don't think that's the way you win football games. We have preached all offseason. Change up the offense. You're too predictable. You're banging your head against a wall by running it and running it and running it. Yeah, Derrick Henry was efficient on Sunday. I think 10 more carries, that efficiency might drop a little bit. It was efficient because it wasn't banging your head against a wall all the time because you didn't know what was coming. Titans were throwing on first down. You know what made him more efficient? Because they were actually breaking some of their tendencies. You don't have that same 5.5 yards per carry, 7 yards per carry with Tajay Spears if you run him 30 times. That's not how it works. You're going to drop down to the mean if you do that. I thought the play calling was perfect.
Yeah, and that's what they wanted to see last year. Fans did, at least the ones that we heard. Look, on first down, they called 16 pass plays, 10 run. That changed.
I love it.
Right?
Yep. 615-737-1045. More phone calls coming up. What we want to see from the practice field, what we want to hear as the Titans get back at it today. Little preview a day before our Q's and K's. What's Kayla asking over at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park? We'll discuss that coming up next.
It's football season. It's time to switch to Zen Sports. You guys have heard me tell you this, okay? This is the fastest growing sports book in Tennessee, changing the betting bonus game with their cash rewards program. When you sign up for Zen Sports with the referral code, earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. 5%. You think about that for a second. It's insane, okay? Zen Sports also offers an incredible, easy-to-navigate mobile app also. So you can find the bets you want to make on the games you want to bet on. And they guarantee you won't find an easier way to build parlays. What are you waiting for? Stop wasting time and money on other sportsbook when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Your wallet will thank you later. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
"40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
and we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
Nine o'clock. What the heck's going on from the 104.5 The Zone Studios? I'm Robert Walsh. The holdout for Chris Jones in Kansas City is over. He signed a one-year deal with the Chiefs yesterday, worth up to $25 million. Same base pay, $19.5 but he has a chance to make up all of the money that he lost in fines for missing practices with his new incentives package. He's going to be a free agent after this season, but Kansas City could also franchise tag Chris Jones. The Bengals have released offensive tackle Lyle Collins from the PUP list. Now he's a free agent. Collins was signed before the 2022 season and held down the right tackle spot until he tore his ACL in December. Still rehabbing from that injury is why he was on the PUP list. And your good feel-good story for the day, former Bears running back Tariq Cohen, who has not played in the NFL since suffering an ACL and MCL tear in September of 2020, plans to sign with the Carolina Panthers practice squad. So good for Tariq. And your Titans practice report, as well as your Chargers practice report, will come out later today, where we get an idea on the health of Amani Hooker and Chargers running back Austin Eckler heading into Sunday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nine a.m. in Nashville as we roll on for one more hour on your Wednesday morning. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Going to talk some Vols in 20 minutes, previewing what you need to know as Tennessee heads down to the Swamp and looks to end 20 years of misery in the state of Florida. Going to be a big one. Looking forward to that. 615-737-1045 is how you join in on the discussion. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling in the F&M Bank chat on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, or Twitch. And immediately after the show is over on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, as well as podcasts available immediately when we're done. On the 104.5 The Zone podcast network. Kayla, what are you most interested to see as the Titans get back on the practice field?
Yeah, one thing I'm focused on is going to that locker room and talking to some of these players in terms of the secondary, right? Because giving up 305 passing yards on Sunday, not a good thing, right? Yep. And definitely something that we were questioning about last year. Just has that been improved? Well, you're going to get another challenge this week. And how do you bounce back from something like that with just probably more weapons in their skill positions and just the physicality of them, right? That Ramon kind of talked about in his scout meeting Wednesday. So I think that's first and foremost what I want to try to figure out. Ryan Tannehill talks today, and I will say this, like, there were things that he didn't say, I think, enough of in terms of just responsibility for what happened Sunday after the game. Maybe we can get into a little bit more now that he's looked at the film.
Yeah.
And is it a thing where you just felt like it was a one-off game? What was uncomfortable for you, right? Was it just working with the line and your new weapons for the first time? Do you feel like DeAndre Hopkins, maybe you were forcing some balls to him? How do you distribute more evenly? Those are types of things I want to know now that Ryan has looked at the film and how you now are going to prepare for this Chargers team. So those are just a couple of things that I'm looking forward to talking to the guys with, because there's just so many things we want to know. Are they going to improve? I want to know their mentality. And what's the locker room vibe like, right?
That's fair.
Week 1 loss, but you're coming into this knowing only one team's going to come out with a win.
Mm-hmm.
What's that locker room vibe like? That's always something great to pick up on a Wednesday.
Here's a question I think is interesting for fans and for us as media, too. I'm always curious if the answer is the same or different.
Mm-hmm.
What does Ryan and what does a player owe us in the media?
Yeah. And you know what? You're right. Sometimes I feel like we want to hear certain things because the fans want to hear it, right?
And I'm not making a comment either way about what you're saying. I just think in general, it's good to have a baseline knowledge of what is the expectation for what he owes us.
Yeah. And I don't think he's going to come out here and say, hey, at this point, put it all on me. It was my fault.
Sure.
But I do think we expect to hear some sort of now that you've looked at film, now that you can actually digest.
Right.
Because you come right in the podium after a game. You can't digest a game like that right away, right?
Right.
It's almost like I don't know if he knew what to say. I think we at least owe it to the fans to hear, hey, this was why this was my worst game, right? Like, this is how I feel were the reasons for this. This is what I've got to do better. Those types of things. I don't think he owes it to us to say it was all on me.
Right.
Like, no, not at this point especially. But I think there needs to be some answers to some of these questions, because really when it's all said and done, guys, that's where most of the concern was.
Yeah. It is, man. Will, to answer your question, what does a player owe the fans, right? You asked that question.
Yeah.
Performance, being above the line. If you're, given the job of being this franchise quarterback, be good at it. I think that's what most people are actually looking for is be good at your job. Whether it's ownership for losses or, pushing praise away whenever this team wins, they're just simply wanting you to be good. This team is, searching for that sticky Lombardi itself. I feel like a lot of people look at this team and look at the talent that you have, and you have the Byers, and you have the Derrick, and you have the Tannehills, and guys that are, in that portion of their career where they're asking you not to waste the talent, not to let that window close, not to let this season go by, and better yet, don't let the Jacksonville Jaguars pass you by. You are in an arms race when it comes down to you validating yourself against Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what do you owe them? To be good. Every week ain't going to be good. Every situation ain't going to be, I said this earlier, not every meal is going to be a feast.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I think the quarterback specifically owes us more than every other position.
I agree.
When it comes to being the representative of the entire offense. There's a reason why quarterbacks around the league have weekly media obligations.
Mm-hmm.
Twice a week, media obligations. The quarterback speaks after every game at the podium, and then again on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Middle of the week. So there's an added amount of accountability that I think fans rightfully expect. But at the same time, I don't think the answer he gave about, well, I don't need to go through every interception because that doesn't really do me any good. I think that's fair too.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a middle ground there because Ryan doesn't need to take us through the schematics of what he's seeing and what he was deceived by. Why would he give the blueprint on how to confuse him? Right? I mean, that's something where you're not going to give away the competitive advantage of what worked against him. I do think, though, his response today will be noteworthy.
I agree.
This is the worst performance he's ever had in a Titans uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was worse than the Bengals game. Bengals game, he had a perfect throw to A.J. Brown for a touchdown that gave you a lot of hope in the moment. The Bengals game, you could also credit back to Mike Hilton making a play on one of those picks. And Todd Downing is your offensive coordinator. I mean, genuinely, this was the bottom of his Titans career. Is this the beginning of the end because he's being pushed in a way that he's never been pushed behind him, the way he pushed Marcus Mariota? Or was this one bad game in week one? I think this is as important of a single game that Ryan Tannehill has played in the regular season as the Tennessee Titans quarterback, because this can be more of the end of him being the starter, or you can prove that week one was a flash in the pan with a good performance against the Chargers.
Yes.
See that. I definitely.
And I still stand by my word, and I brought this up if you guys listened on Monday. I still kind of stand by, I would have liked to have seen Ryan Tannehill take a little more, hey, on me, guys. 3 interceptions, that was on me. He's never been one, though, to do that.
Yeah.
He really hasn't. So I don't think I was expecting it, but he did not do that. And I think that made a lot of fans frustrated, too, that maybe the accountability factor wasn't there. But he's never really done that in terms of using the I, right? It's always kind of been a we thing for him.
Shane in the Infinite Bank chat on YouTube says, I don't care what he has to say today, or I'm not sure what the grammar is here. I apologize. But it says, I don't care what he has to say. I'm tired of talk.
Right.
I think that's how Titans fans feel.
Yeah.
I would imagine that, a quarter of this fan base will actually hear what he says at a press conference?
Yep.
The other 75% just want him to complete passes.
Absolutely.
Guy can be the biggest jerk in football, and he's not, by the way, if he just completes passes and hits Chig wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's where most fans are.
They are. They want dubs, man. And that's why I said, what's his biggest responsibility? Win the game when it's your opportunity to.
Right.
Sure.
And, of course, it's forgivable, but people don't want to forgive when it comes down to the things that he done, especially when you associate turnovers with Ryan Tannehill. And those three, whether the wide receiver should have came back to the ball or whether his pressure around his arm when he threw it, he gets no grace. There is no mulligans when it comes down to him performing his job, especially with the outlook of the future being real close to him, too. One way or the other.
Let's go to Chris in Nashville, 615-737-1045. Hey, Chris.
Hey, good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Great morning.
Hey, so a couple of quick points, couple bullet points here. Watching the game, Titans fans, there's an emotional side and there's a practical side. So, emotional, I understand all the fan base about Tannehill. I'm not a Tannehill fan, so I'm not going to pretend to be. However, it is normal for the defense to be more ahead of the offense, especially in schematics and whatnot. So that part didn't concern me. But what I will say is, as Titans fans, what we do have in the team is a lot of heart, and we got a group of guys that really believe that they believe in each other, and that was evident throughout the entire game. At not one point did they quit. They played all the way to the last play, and it was 15-16. Now, I'm married into the Bears family, and I watched the Bears and Packers game, and the Bears, they quit.
Yeah.
So from anybody that understands the game of football, you can fix schematics, you can fix scheme, play calls, and et cetera, but you can't fix the locker room. And the Titans have a stable locker room. The concern is without Nick Folk, we really could have woke up Monday morning like the New York Giants, because you had Chris Olave going right, you had Michael Thomas going up north, and if Alvin Kamara was in there, we just don't have attrition would have set in, and our defense would have just got fatigued. And Tannehill was literally put in a position to be successful, and he laid a goose egg. Now, everybody's saying give the ball to Derrick Henry, and I'm the biggest Derrick Henry fan out there, but Derrick Henry is a grown man, and we're playing 20-some-odd games. I don't know how many times you think you can run into another grown man and not something break or chip or whatever. We got to preserve him for the playoff season. So you guys have mentioned several times about opening up the offense, and I think our offensive coordinator did an excellent job of putting Tannehill in the position. But lastly, to put Titans fans, we're stuck with Tannehill for a year. When Tannehill plays bad, guess what? We compare him to Will Levis and Malik Willis. Now, when Tannehill plays good, there's no comparison. And that's the roller coaster we're going to be on for the entire year, and we just have to just grin and bear it and hope we win a couple games and sneak into the playoffs.
Thank you, Chris.
Some good points there.
Appreciate the call.
Really good points.
615-737-1045, the number. Coming up, we switch gears to the men in orange. Headed down to the swamp this weekend. How much confidence do you have in Tennessee that is leading the nation in a defensive category? Not an offensive one. We dive into that coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. And when it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see those warning signs, okay? We're afraid of what we're going to hear sometimes. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed now, or it could be a smaller problem that'll become bigger later, or it may be nothing at all. Bottom line is we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. What we need is a peace of mind, and United Structural Systems is a company to give you that. They have over 25,100% satisfied residential customers. That is big time right there, but here's how they've done it, okay? When USS comes out to your house, you're going to get a problem solver who provides you a peace of mind. You're not going to get someone who's worried about meeting a sales quota, upselling you on the next big thing, but someone there to educate you and help you understand what is happening with your home. At USS, the only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is and not a closing ratio. Trust me, myself, homeowners trust USS. They're keeping homes dry and stable for over 25 years. They guarantee their best. Call USS, and you can reach them at 615-488-7855 or online at USSTN.com.
Wednesday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Little Barracuda for your Wednesday morning with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh spinning the hits. How confident are you in Tennessee going to the Swamp this weekend? A lot of us have been down there, not wearing a jersey like Ramon did, but have gone down there and have said after leaving, nope, I'm never going to believe again until they do it. Well, I used to be one of those people, but diving into this matchup last night, looking at where Tennessee has advantages, guys, I feel good about this one for Tennessee.
Feel solid.
Sure.
I think if this was a team, even in the same environment, let's say that this was Kentucky, and this Florida team was wearing Kentucky jerseys. One of my buddies texted me this morning. It said, because he's going down there and he's going through the same battered Vol syndrome process that I often do.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Will, if this was a Kentucky team, would we be scared at all? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I think there's some truth to that. Now, granted, the Swamp is not Kroger Field, right? You're not getting fuel points down there, first of all. Secondly, the Swamp is a difficult environment. I was going to say, that was funny. Come on. I was funnier than you acted. It's a difficult environment, especially under the lights, and Florida fans are going to be ready to go for this one because they have a lot more to lose in this than Tennessee does. But I do think that a Florida offensive line that only returns one starter from last season, all SEC player and guard Osiris Torrance, of course, is gone from last year's team, and a Florida defense that was 12th against the run last year. I think Tennessee has good reason, who leads the nation in sacks, by the way, Tennessee's defense with 11 so far this year. Tennessee's defense has reason for optimism this weekend.
The reason I'm excited about it, and I'm going to drop his name because if we bash him, we got to be able to prop him up a little bit too. Kamal Haddon's play been a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Give that a little bit better than it was. A little bit more consistent.
Still concerns me.
He make plays here and there, but what I'm saying is he's around often when it comes down to him having some pass breakups. And the other portion of why I trust it is because of Florida's offensive line. Utah got after them. Utah made their quarterback, who was it, Mertz?
Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin transfer.
Look unsteady. Of course they're going to dog out McNeese State. They absolutely did that, okay, which I think is why some Vol fans are a little skittish about us not beating Austin Peay the way they thought they should have. That's the biggest issue. If we'd have rolled Austin Peay,
Yeah.
What's the conversation?
This would not be as big of a conversation.
You wouldn't feel this, would you, Kay?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You would not feel that heat of what Austin Peay did. But here's the thing. Austin Peay got a ton of transfer players. Austin Peay has experience. If I'm not mistaken, Austin Peay quarterback had the potential to be taken from another school.
Austin Peay looked like a team that prepped all summer just for that game against Tennessee.
Wouldn't you?
Of course.
Okay.
It's not an excuse. Tennessee should have been much better. And give credit to Austin Peay again for what they did between the whistles. But I do think that they certainly looked like a team that circled that game all offseason.
They did. And then, of course, they wore jerseys and hats.
Oh, yeah.
That 9-3-1 was kind of tough. I got to give it to them. It was kind of cool right there that they had on their jerseys.
Yeah.
But this is, you actually, level of confidence. And Vols fans love to know where you are. If you didn't listen to 3HL yesterday.
Oh, Ron kind of had his second Reverend.
Yeah, he did.
Ship or whatever you want to call it. Reverend moment.
The right Reverend was preaching.
Yeah.
Hey, no Roof Ministries was
on.
A volunteer revival.
Yes, it was.
No Roof Ministries
was on.
jam-packed, man. But that's your barometer, I feel like, is hearing that.
Do you want to know, like, this isn't a weird opinion, but I almost think not playing up to the level Vols fans expected Tennessee to play to this past weekend was probably the best dose of medicine they could have received.
Talk about
because now you've got Vol Nation a little bit worried, and you're probably looking at the film this week being like, okay, yeah, this can't happen again, or we can't do this against Florida.
Sure.
And you're going down to the Swamp, not with Swamp Butt. Like, you're going down there ready to put the smack down on some Florida Gators, something that I know is hard to do. And I bet in that environment, like you have, Will, as a media member covering it. And look, it can get crazy. But what did Ron say? If you can take them out of that quick, if you can take their environment out of the game quick, I think that's going to be big too. I just think this game that they played against Austin Peay might have been the best thing that happened to them this early on in the season. I think, personally, they're going to put the smack down on the Gators. Now, that's me.
Yeah.
But
they had a bunch of situational stuff, stopping them to get another score at the end of the game. Stop them there, okay? Honestly, being pressed to get points up on the board. Stop them there. Guys had to strain to make plays in that game, too. Right, wrong, and different. Everybody's due one. Bad teams or teams that are teetering on trying to figure out who they are with no leadership probably lose those games. Or it's probably under a 10-point game when it all boils down. But you're asking my level of confidence going into the swamp is this. The speed of that defense. Okay, I brought up Kamal Haddon.
Tennessee's defense. Yeah.
Kamal Haddon, like I said, and not just him, the secondary, okay? Aaron Beasley may play himself into a top 3-round linebacker at the rate that he's playing right now, y'all.
Sure.
So the speed of the defense, the ability to get after the quarterback with Florida having new starters on that offensive line is why my level of confidence. And it's weird we're talking about the defensive side of the ball when we're speaking about this Vols team because offense is all we ever heard. So let's go to the offense real quick, too. The crowd is going to be toxic. That kickoff, that friggin'
Yeah. Gator Chomp.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's going to be wild. It's going to be a sight to see.
So shut him up.
And Kayla, that's where I'm going to go with it. This is an opportunity to where if you're efficient on offense with this team, the crowd ain't got enough time or air to continue that level of noise, okay? Think about where we were at the Orange Bowl, okay? That was a crowd there for Clemson. But the efficiency and effectiveness of the way they operated offensively allowed the crowd to be out of it. All you heard was roars from the orange side, and I'm talking about the real orange. What is it, Pantone what, Will?
Pantone 151C.
There you go.
I think this game reminds me in that way a lot of the LSU game last year when Tennessee won 40-13 in Death Valley. The reason why that crowd was not crazy, A, it was a noon game, and LSU fans are still complaining about that, but
bless their hearts.
B, they fumbled the opening kick. Tennessee was in the end zone pretty quickly into that game. And they didn't start super quickly once they had it, on offense. It took Tennessee a couple drives to really kick into high gear, and they did in the first half. But there was never a moment where that game was in doubt because there was a key moment early where Tennessee turned over LSU and were able to take the crowd out of it early. Graham Mertz's biggest weakness at the quarterback position for Florida is the turnover bug.
Boom.
Gave away 10 through the air in 2023, through 10 interceptions for the Wisconsin Badgers. Last season, Tennessee really could not keep Anthony Richardson in the pocket. Anthony Richardson diced them up in that first half. Florida's going to want to run the football in this game more effectively than they did against Utah. And that was the thing that really surprised me with Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne, the running backs. They had a combined 36 carries for 234 yards through the first two games. They only ran for 13 yards against Utah.
Right.
That still makes no sense to me. I think Florida, with as many transfers as they have on the offensive line, has a lot to figure out. And this feels like a Tennessee team that, despite their lack of returning production, near the bottom in all of college football, Tennessee is in terms of their returning production on offense. Florida's not much higher.
No.
Florida last season on the offensive side of the football returns 55% of their production. That's 100th in college football. You talk about rebuilding and what Billy Napier is doing. He is 2 years into a meticulous rebuild that I don't think is close to being at the level of beating Tennessee. This offensive line has not been great. They only returned one starter from last year. And defensively, guys, they have 2 sacks all year. They only sacked McNeese twice. They had 0 sacks against Utah.
It's not enough.
I think this is a great matchup for Tennessee against a team that was 12th against the run last season. Here's what I need to see, guys, in order to have more confidence. Tennessee needs a deep shot in the passing game or an explosive play in the run game to assert its dominance and assert its will on Florida early. It's going to take one of those moments. And Austin Price said it yesterday with us. If Tennessee's up in this thing late in the second half, those Gators fans are real close to turning on Billy Napier and throwing in the towel on the rebuild. When you've got Sonny Dykes taking a team to the national championship game in year one at a place like TCU, Florida has 100% more resources than TCU does. And the one thing Florida fans, the last thing they can hold on to in how bad they've been recently is the fact that they still haven't lost to Tennessee in the Swamp in 2003. You take that away from them, I think this is really, really an important game for Billy Napier.
Yeah.
Best part about it, though, too, this team experienced winning tight games against Florida last year. They a lot of the team experienced going to Baton Rouge. Well, a lot of this team experienced what it meant to actually beat Alabama. Like, that's one thing about having a good team, too. It is how you can stack up winning big games and how many people can be a part of those and come back to you. Cooper Mays was a part of that, okay? There's a lot. Spraggins was a part of those. Joe understand what it takes. And I'm sure, and I'm hoping with Hendon being on the PUP list right now, that there is some mentorship that's going on. Joe got it. I was listening to Kessley and them last night, and Coach Heupel's show. Nobody's out on what Joe's capable of doing. I think it's fair to say, like, everybody got to kind of work through their woes and those ups and downs. The same way we speak about Tannehill and his week 1 performance, the way it broke down also. But this team lending itself to what this run game is, I think is very unique. I think it's super unique with watching how they're able to control the game and pound the rock, and this offensive line be very confident in it too. Going on the road, establishing that run, look, you don't get a break against us. That group is physical up front, and I know Florida's going to try to match it. Who's the big boy that they have on their roster, Will? Desmond
Watson.
Desmond Watson.
All 420-something pounds of him.
And he's going to bring the momentum with him.
Yeah.
The thing is, he ain't super effective. Through his early career, he ain't got a lot. He got like 2.5 tackles for loss.
Right.
But the effectiveness of his emotions and what he's going to try to lead that group out there in their 3rd year, okay? You get it. Florida's been close to losing in Gainesville.
What I love, if I were a Vol fan right now, and I know this isn't the X's and O's part, but I think it's just as important sometimes in a situation like this, is Josh Heupel has come into Tennessee and established a culture. An absolute buy-in.
Yeah.
An absolute buy-in, and there's no doubt about it. Billy Napier is not there yet with his team. That's still to be seen. That's still unknown. So when you put this much pressure now on, we got to protect our ground down here in the swamp because we haven't lost to Tennessee in this many years. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, if I'm Josh Heupel and the guys, I'm coming down and I'm taking every opportunity because I know what my team is.
Facts.
It's just crazy to me that Florida's 5-year recruiting average is 12th in college football.
Yeah.
If you take the last 5 recruiting classes and put them all together, Florida isn't even in the top 10. That is criminal with the amount of talent you have in that state. That should absolutely never happen. Because Dan Mullen's last 3 classes were 9th, 8th, and 13th. And the class that Billy Napier inherited and had to finish off in 2022 ranked 17th in the 247 composite. Tennessee is more talented than Florida, which is something that we don't get to say very often.
You want to hear something that's very fascinating? I know one year to the next don't really correlate itself. Florida lost its last 3 games at Vandy.
It's crazy. It's the most polite field storming of all time.
I know, and they lost a bowl game to Oregon State, 30-3. And I know it's a bowl game too. And then they start off the season with a loss too. This team, as it stands, knows more about losing than it does winning.
Well, how about this from last year? Last year was the first time in program history that Florida lost to all 4 of their rivals in the same year.
Those 4 rivals are?
Florida State, Georgia, Tennessee, and LSU. You know how many points they allowed in those 4 games? 42.5.
I just looked at it. That's crazy.
42.5 points per game against their rivals last season. Tennessee, Florida State, Georgia, LSU. Granted, those 4 teams were all really good last year, to be fair.
We've run through that gauntlet, though, Will.
Of course.
What to say?
That is the thing that really excites me about this matchup for Tennessee, though, is the run defense. And Austin Armstrong, the first-year defensive coordinator out of Southern Miss, hired at 29 years old as the defensive coordinator for the Florida Gators. Florida gave up 175 yards per game on the ground last season. A steady diet of Jalen Wright, I think, is on the way. And, you know, you listen to a lot of things about this Florida team. They're deeper than they've been in the past. Last season, they didn't have a lot of depth. Tennessee's offense does not allow you to showcase that depth unless you fake a bunch of injuries.
Now,
which they could do, to be fair.
The X's and O's of this, I will say this. Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall, the Arizona State transfer at wide receiver.
Yeah, he's solid. Him.
Can you guys please take him out of the game? I cannot stand that kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Why's that?
Mouth guard out. He wears like the short, you know, he just has that, like, I want to punch him in the face type of thing
He
going
the
on.
hell
So,
out of you,
yeah,
is what
take
you're
him
saying.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. He's been solid. He's the number one target.
He is good.
He's the number one. Taylor's like, good.
Take him out.
Sign him up. But you look at their receptions and passing and stuff like that. It's not many on the season. And actually, Graham Mertz is pretty much 74% completion rate on the year, too. And their availability of him throwing, though, comes down to his offensive line protector. I like this group that they have. What do they call this? This NASCAR package that they have? And it's not like Tennessee's. And it's not like they can't stop the run. I am on the Big O and Omar Norman Lott package here.
He is. He's going to get drafted if he keeps this up.
He is doing a thing. And not only just that, I mean, across the board, you got guys stepping up, and I'm looking forward to it. Tyler Barron, another one that's in that package. I mean, legitimately, Pierce is another one. That's why I do like this team going to Florida.
I think this
is their ears back.
This is the legacy game for Rodney Gardner and the Tennessee defensive front. You got 11 sacks this year to lead college football. Can James Pierce and Tyler Barron do it again against a legitimate SEC opponent? That's the question at this point. Tyler Barron lining up as a three technique inside with Pierce and Josephs on the outside has been really, really good.
You realize he's like 260, 270?
Tyler Barron?
Tyler.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's why I think NFL scouts will really like him.
He going to make a lot of money if he really embraces.
It's like Byron Young, who had a sack for the Rams over the weekend in his first ever game.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
If he embraces playing that three tech, that is the wave of the NFL with the way it passes.
615-737-1045, our number. A final call for phone calls. We'll get to the phones when we come back and wrap up the show. Been a quick one this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon and Will for Kellum Stem Cell Institute, man. You know, I've been telling you guys about how I have my appointment set up to go visit them again. They looked at my medical, making sure everything's all good and ready to go. But even better than that, they have an exclusive September special where you can book a procedure in the month of September for a 10% discount to all of the Zone listeners. Yes, even you. This is only for the Zone. Remember that. 10% off, and mention it when you go in, and please be sure to tell them that Will or Ramon sent you when you show up too.
Absolutely right, Ramon. This is a kind of treatment that professional athletes are loving. That's why Dr. Kellum has worked with Team USA. He was the team doc for the Boston Celtics as well. Anything you need to reduce inflammation using your own body's this all-natural treatment, it's going to work for you. And many clients just use them as well for naturally enhanced performance and longevity. It's safe. It's easy. They're going to make this process as simple as possible for you. Visit them online, KellumStemCellInstitute.com, and put Dr. Kellum's work as a renowned orthopedic surgeon to work for you. That's KellumStemCellInstitute.com, KELLUM StemCellInstitute.com. Wednesday morning, wrapping up the show on RKW. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 as we get out of here with the last few phone calls before the Buck Rising Show takes over coming up next. Let's go to Danny in the Borough. Up next, talking Vols with us this morning. Hey, Danny.
Hey, what up, guys? How we doing this morning?
Great.
Man?
What's up, Danny?
Just wanted to call in. I think that, Kayla, you're right on the money, man. The Vols are going to go into the swamp and just smack them in their stupid gator mouth. That's what's happening right here. I mean, straight up. So this past weekend for Austin Peay, which, by the way, was just a perfect trap game for the Vols, and they succeeded and they won that game, and I don't want to hear another word about it. We're moving forward. We sat down. It was me and Cousin Andrew and Bunchy, and we actually got to sit down with the best producer in the world to watch this game for a while, and it was great. I'm sitting there trying to catch up with Schaefer, and what do I hear behind me? It's Cousin Andrew, nag, going on about we need Nico in. We can't have Joe Milton in here. He's going to lose it for us. Listen up, Cousin Andrew. I love you, fam. You're like a brother to me, but you are dead. You know what? Wrong. Joe Milton is our guy. Bazooka Joe's going in there. You heard of RPGs? He's talking about RPPs, man, rocket-propelled pigskin, and he's going to throw like 5 or 6 touchdowns. That's what it's about. Hey, listen, Bert, if you can hear me, smack Cousin Andrew in his stupid face right now with Rocky Top, baby. Go Vols!
Go Vols, baby.
Thank you, Danny.
Pumped up.
Appreciate it. We had a Rocky Top request.
We did, man.
We'll certainly
good.
get a lot of that as the week continues.
Bert's like,
That can be
"Nah,
arranged."
man, there is a lot of anxiety, man. I never knew how much of this happened on the fan side.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
Right, because
Oh,
you kind of zone that out a little bit when you play.
You always think you have a chance to win as a player. Even in some of those bad years, you're like, come on, man, we got this. Be cool.
You want me to share my activity with
Nope.
you Saturday so you can see my heart rate?
Nope.
Oh, boy. We had a heart rate
share
moment
it
this
to me.
week.
Let me see it, Will. Yeah, we did. Me and Bert chest bumped. This
Yeah.
morning. Yeah, sure
That was
did.
so funny.
I think I
Like a real
did
one?
I'm still out of breath.
during the Duke game in the NCAA tournament last year. I believe I was up at 170 at one point mid-game.
That's a vigorous
That wasn't
workout.
even like nerves. That was just like excitement of just it was a good game.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You got to get your cardio up, man. What the world?
Yeah, it's fair. I know. Once I stopped doing cardio for my sport in college, I kind of quit
Gave it
cold
up.
turkey on that. No, literally.
Yeah.
Cardio and I are not friends anymore, but we speak occasionally. Let's go to Mike in Lebanon. 615-737-1045. Hey, Mike.
What up, Mike?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Great.
Good morning.
Hey, take a little bit of issue with Kayla's take on Tannehill, and not necessarily her. I don't want to,
That's all good.
I don't want to put her in a box. But look, the man has just come off of a horrible season of protection, and he's got what he's looking at as another horrible season of protection. And there's, dude, you've been in this league for 14, 15 years. You know what you're looking at as far as protection. And so I don't necessarily blame him. I don't necessarily blame him. He was doing what he could. Now, yeah, he messed up a couple of times. That was obvious. But, man, I can't dismiss him.
Thank you, Mike.
First of all, I never dismissed him. Let me just put that out there.
Right.
I've given both sides of the story. I think what I said is I kind of thought he should have taken more accountability right after the game. But then again, I know that's not what Ryan Tannehill, that's just not the way he does things here. And
Sure.
I'm not saying that's wrong or right.
Right.
That's just him as a person. That's my personal opinion.
Yep.
I seem to think it was a one-off game, if you want to ask me. My personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think he just had his worst game of his career, literally, and everything else that goes along with it. But no harm taken to that.
Absolutely.
Well, and two, talking about the offensive line, the ESPN.com article came out this morning or late yesterday, I believe, of best and worst offensive lines against run plays and pass plays. Titans were actually 5th in pass block win rate against the Saints.
Just looks ugly.
67%. They were 5th. And then run blocking, Titans were 3rd best.
Yeah.
As an offensive line. I think the more we look back at the film, the more Ramon kind of breaks down from the player perspective on what that line looked like. I think the offensive line played about as well as you could have expected for week 1.
Saw Hub getting some love on social media too.
Chris Hubbard?
Pathway. Chris Hubbard. I don't know. I got to stop just saying Hub.
That's right.
But all of them, the times that Skoronski got. You just look at it and say, I mean, you knew they were passing right there. Rookie.
Yep.
Him and, again.
100%.
If Dillard gets a little bit more firm, you feel better. You just do.
Yeah.
Coming up tomorrow morning, our weekly conversation with Coach Mack at 6:20. Thursday 3 picks for the football weekend. A little Thursday night football preview. A good one, by the way. Vikings-Eagles.
Whoa.
Oh, let's go.
Outstanding game. Up in Philadelphia, home of the NFC champions. So that'll be a good one to preview. We will get as well more of your thoughts on Tennessee and Florida as we give that game the attention it deserves, I would say.
We do.
Talking more college football the next 2 days. We're back at it tomorrow morning, but right now, Inky Johnson sends us home. A little bit of midweek motivation to close out our Wednesday.
I feel like you got to be intentional about growth, right? Growth doesn't just happen. So you got intentional growth, and oftentimes you got forced growth. I believe forced growth is when a situation happens in life that's out of your control, and it's literally going to force you to grow, or you're going to retreat, right? You're either going to get better or you're going to get worse. But then you got ways to where you're intentional about your growth, right? You write stuff down. Like, write this down for me, fellas. Mastery requires patience and intentionality. Mastery requires patience and intentionality, right? If you want to master anything, man, you got to be intentional and you got to be patient because it's a process.